Yeah.
We're good. I'm gonna call the committee of the whole meeting to order for June the 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. I'm gonna read a couple of notice first. Live streaming of council meetings. Today's meeting is being streamed live on the Town of Annapolis Royal YouTube channel. To those present in the gallery today, by attending a public meeting of the council, you are consenting to having your image, voice, and comments recorded. Anyone who is invited to speak will be recorded, and their voice, image, and comments will form part of the live stream. The chair and or CAO has the discretion and authority at any time to direct the termination or interruption of live streaming. Such direction will only be given in exceptional circumstances when being relevant. I would like to acknowledge that we are in the Mi'kmaq, the traditional ancestral territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Everybody is present. I have no regrets. I have one addition to the agenda under new business. This would be the provincial
Capital Assistance Program grant.
grants. That would be number 15. Any additions, any other additions anybody has for the agenda?
No, just two changes. Under 11 for correspondence, minister's name is Laura Lohr, and the chief engineer for the province is Mark Peachy. That's Peachy. That's all, no addition.
Thank you. So with no more additions, I'm gonna approve the agenda by unanimous consent. And approval of the committee of the whole minutes from May the 1st, 2024. Any changes? No. Hearing none, I will approve that by unanimous consent as well. And we're on to our presentation. We have the CEO, Julia Merritt from the Annapolis Valley Regional Library. It's
Hello,
all yours.
okay, I will share my screen. Okay. Okay,
There.
all right, well, no presentation. View for us tonight, but that's okay. All right, so good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for making the time for me at your meeting. I promise I'll be brief so that you can move on with all your other business. I'm really just here to provide you with a general overview of the activities of the library in the last year, as well as to update you on the progress of the library funding formula review. So good news about 23-24 is that library usage is continuing to increase year over year. We saw another 5% increase overall categories last year, which is again higher than last year, which was higher than 2019. So we've seen a massive upward trend in library usage. We issued over 4,000 new memberships, so that is the equivalent of 1 in every 5 Valley residents having an active library card. Active being defined as having used the library, use your card in the last 2 years. So if you have a card, it's in your wallet, you consider yourself a library member, but you haven't used it in the last 2 years, we're not counting you, you're still a member, we still love to have you, but we're not counting you for the purposes of statistics. We keep it fairly current that way. Our Same Page Consortium, our partnership with the other 7 rural library regions in Nova Scotia, is going wonderfully well, and there's a huge amount of uptake there. We saw another 20% increase in the use of that service last year, even though we were able to streamline some processes and create some more efficiencies. So it really just speaks to how well received within our communities, the ability to have a broader and deeper collection is, even though what we're sharing is really is the physical material. So we're very pleased with that success and that uptake. So, and then the highest rate of increase over in last year was the use of Wi-Fi and computer hours, both of which saw over a 10% increase each. So it really just speaks to the need in the valley for access to connectivity and access to technology. So we're pleased to be able to provide that service. And it's good to know that what we need in terms of ongoing technological support there. So that's the good news. The not so great news is, as you can see in our latest letter to the ministry as of March, AVRL is struggling quite significantly financially, and we are reducing staff and services in order to maintain as much service continuity as possible within the branches in terms of hours and staffing there. Which leads me to the funding formula review. The current formula is ending March 31st, 2025. This was a fixed 5-year formula from starting in 2020 with no annual adjustments for inflation or otherwise. So it is time to review and hopefully get something ready for next year. The government has formed a committee. It had its first meeting in April. It had another one in May, and we've got one more scheduled in June, and then we'll be scheduling through the summer as well. The committee is composed of representation from the libraries in the form of library CEOs as well as board members. We do have ministry staff from the municipal affairs as well as culture, community and culture. And we do also have a representative from NSFN as well. Then the Council of Regional Librarians itself, so that would be the 9 library CEOs, completed some backward groundwork in 2023 by creating a shared vision and set of strategic priorities for funding. This year, we're conducting studies on salary ranges and for collection and technology funding levels. So what it costs to have regularly replaced computers in the library at a certain level of service and so on. So we will have pretty current information. We'll be gathering data from 2022 and 2023. So we're looking forward to having those numbers. And then the committee's mandate is to complete its funding model options with a recommendation to the government by this fall, at which point the municipality will be coming back around. Not municipality, the ministry will be coming back around to the municipalities for input and feedback from all of those constituents. So, and then we as the libraries will be regularly in touch as well to make sure that municipalities are kept updated through that process. So that's really all I have. Very high level summary, but I'm happy to take any questions on any library activities or funding formula review questions you might have.
Any council have any questions?
Yes, I do. So your funding has gone down and your costs have gone up. That's a general overview of the situation that you're in right now.
The purchasing power has gone down. The funding has remained the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so funding as in provincial funding?
Correct.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
And municipal, maybe?
And municipal, the
That's good,
entire
yeah.
envelope is the same.
okay.
Does federal help or mine? No,
No,
it's just provincial and municipal.
correct.
Do we have any
Aye.
questions on ours?
I know most of the information. Thank you very much for coming. Obviously, having sat on the board for the last, since September, and having met with you last summer, with receiving briefings. Pretty good understanding of what's going on with the board. I guess the question for Annapolis Royal is the plan for the Evans bequest, the funds, and whether there's any movement towards thought and as to what that money will be used for our library.
Not yet at the board level.
Okay.
The first project is getting heat pumps in, which we're working on right now. We have an updated quote. And we're gonna, we've approached the Academy Board to present and get their approval to move forward with the heat pump installation. But beyond that, no, the board hasn't. broach the topic of making a long-term plan.
How long's that in the queue? I can't remember, just curious.
We sent another letter. This year,
Just when
I can't
when was it
remember when.
announced? It's
And
been,
there's no opportunity for any sort of operational funding out of that. Equally,
That was not the intention of the policy that the board drafted, but obviously discussions are possible and welcome.
so, but the policy was drafted after the bequeathment had been received as
Yes.
well.
It was done after. And
So they had the money and then thought, oh no, we have this huge amount of money and now we should have policy. So that going forward, they would have direction of what to do.
and things are changing as with, obviously, with funding in general, so. Is that a still practical policy in place if things are changing across you guys' whole funding formulas? I guess is that a discussion point that can be done, or is that not?
there was an agreement with the town, but at the time there was no bequest policy, no bequest. So there was an agreement in town, so one would say that in good faith, there should be discussions. Absolutely, there should be
yeah, that would be good.
with the board.
Just a general question, I'm curious, did the bequest come with instructions on how the money would be spent in the Annapolis Royal Regional
I think.
Branch?
it's-
It was very vague.
It was very vague.
Yeah, there's a lot of interpretation there to be had, so. Like it doesn't,
He just left the money
Money.
to the Annapolis,
Right.
he left it to be to the regional library
Mm.
to be used on the Annapolis Royal branch.
Yes, the exact language is for the benefit of the Annapolis Royal Branch.
Yeah.
That's the only language that exists.
And the other language that exists is the town has an agreement with the board that was created before any of this happened. So again, going back to good faith, the town would like to be part of the discussions, what happens going forward.
I think
And
so.
that's been our position, we've made it known,
Mhm.
even though the board said, well, we'll say what happens. I think they left the door open to some discussion,
Mhm.
I hope so.
That would make sense.
I think it would make sense because when you have these side agreements, they do matter.
Mhm.
It'd be nice to be able to honor these requests.
Well, and especially if there's a change in service or
Yeah.
staffing because of
Right.
budget cuts or funding cuts. We do have an opportunity to. There is a benefit to this. Library to be able to use some of that funding. To offset any sort of potential cuts, in my mind,
staffing,
staffing
in
or
regards to
service.
staffing
Yeah.
and services, yeah.
Hmm.
Okay,
Just one more question.
Mhm.
So if the bequest was spent, for example, on operational costs,
Mhm.
does that jeopardize the library's opportunity to receive funding from the province? Because already a large chunk of money has been spent on operations. Is that why I'm seeing it's more towards capital costs? Is that what I'm saying?
There's nothing written that would say it's jeopardized, however, it's
Right.
certainly a question about where funding
Yeah,
is expected to come from for a public service and whether that's expected to be a public or private
right,
funding source.
okay,
So that is definitely a question, but
Mhm.
also a conversation to be had.
right. Okay,
hopefully we'll have these conversations.
yeah. look
Yeah,
forward to that.
yeah, no, for sure.
Any further questions? Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
So, let's make up my reading glasses, we can't see. Well. So we're going to go to unfinished business number 1.
Mm.
That 3. So just so everybody's aware, because Ken's only here till 7, we're gonna do 1 and 2 of unfinished, and then we're gonna drop down to new business under 3 and 4. Under the water capital budget and water utility budget,
Okay.
and then back up to unfinished afterwards. All right, so request for decision, snow and ice control policy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
So last month you've asked me to have Ken attend the meeting so he can answer any questions you may have, and of course, the policy and the bylaw are intertwined. And we still have the solicitor's remarks, in there. So I'll leave it, the RFD is there, I'll leave it up to you to ask Ken those questions.
Okay, I guess it goes back to me, it is. The only thing changed in that was this highlighted area that was removed, right? That however, to facilitate overall removal of heavy snow amounts in the area referred to streets and sidewalks. The town will at all times clear snow from this area. That's been removed.
No, so there's two options, so there's two drafts there. One
Oh.
draft is the one that the solicitor is saying that we need to
Yes.
update. So
That's
that we
underneath
can
it.
enforce it.
Yeah,
And that is staff's recommendation is the draft one.
Yeah.
Draft two is with the policy is with the removal.
Removal of section 2.
Mhm.
Where it refers to the town of Annapolis rural streets and sidewalks by law, responsibility of owners, occupiers, or persons in charge of house, stores, lots, and pieces of land
Mhm.
situated on St. George from 324 to the municipal wharf. With respect to clearing snow and ice and sidewalks, the town is responsible for the maintenance of the remainder of the town sidewalks.
okay.
Okay, we'll start with Paul, go ahead.
Okay, so I think the reason why we wanted Ken to come here was because there was some concern raised at our last meeting that if the town were to take on sole responsibility for clearing between 324 St. George Street and the wharf, that this would mean a much larger cost to Public Works in terms of time and salt.
Yes,
So what is your feeling as to how much more this is going to cost?
okay, so. So I want to speak to the liability aspect of it, in terms of costings. If I calculate salt costs for additional saltings. So for the tractor, a load of salt, because it's not huge, it's $50. If I look at equipment utilization time, it's about $50 for the same period. And the staff cost is roughly $50 too, once we look at pay and taxes with that. So it's about $150 per additional salting of sidewalks for that period. And so now, if it's solely our responsibility, obviously it's contingent on several factors, including weather, how many times we would salt it additionally, but the rough and ready, easy calculation is it's $150 every time we go down that sidewalk.
How many times, if we have a snow event? Public Works already does go through this part of town, it's not a
Yeah,
priority.
typically, because it is a high traffic area,
Yeah.
even in winter, even snow, even though some distances closed. We make it a priority to clear the sidewalks first thing, right? And so we'll send one piece of equipment working on the sidewalks and another piece of equipment, or actually several, working on streets. So it's always happens right in the beginning. Now, and I spoke to this a little bit previously when I said, businesses, it's not a big spectrum, but it's a little spectrum where some businesses are great about getting out there early, some are slower. But overall, I'd say it's pretty good support from the community. So, and even, I'm just talking about snowstorm in general, not an extreme snowstorm. So in general, once is enough. And then if it continues to snow a little bit through the day, we might just do a salt without a plow. And that's pretty fast. So that would be a reduced utilization time. Salt cost obviously doesn't change. So it just depends on how many times we have to come back. The policy's been altered a little bit just for clarity. So, but what was nice about the policy is it created a collaboration between the town and the business people, and that we're in this together. We're gonna do the heavy lifting here, but after that's done, we need you to do your bit too, and then we'll keep the sidewalks safe for everybody. In my opinion, I'm not a lawyer, if it becomes the town's sole burden to do this, sidewalks or businesses can say, listen, it's getting a little slippy out there. I don't like it. Can you come by again? Can you come by again? Now, we're not at their beck and call, obviously, but we are certainly more open to repeated calls because they might not have staff, they might not have time, they might not have the desire to clean the sidewalks in front of their establishments. So I could easily envisage a situation where we're there an additional 2, maybe 3 times in a given storm.
So. It's not really truly a collaboration when it's you do it or we penalize you. And that's where we stand with it now.
Well, the policy has been in effect for quite a while, right? And I certainly have never heard of an instance where we have penalized a person. We have many bylaws which have penalty, as a matter of fact, in the bylaws themselves. Where usually having a word with the offending, because offending in the smallest possible O, the offending party is sufficient to get the behavior changed or to get the support that's needed.
Or the letter goes out stating that you do it or you are fine.
It says that with parking too, we don't issue a slew of parking tickets if people abuse that. I mean, there are many instances where the relationship is good enough that we can leverage the social capital and just ask, and it's dealt with pretty quickly.
Second question.
Yep.
So there's areas that are on that section that are owned by the town or are town responsibility, and there is no businesses such as parking areas and parks.
Yep.
So if those areas are not, you wouldn't go back through on a extra heavy snowfall and do them anyways?
We would.
So
I mean,
if you're going through to do them, you're doing the whole street at the time.
we would never like skip
Yeah.
in front of person X's
Right.
establishment just to get our little patch. And if anything, it would probably be slower, right? It's easier just to start at the top
Yeah.
and go
So
down.
we're doing that anyways. That's our practice right now.
To a degree, I mean, absolutely, when we do it all. Period, 100%.
Right.
But I think. I believe that now with the existing bylaw, clarity aside, business owners are willing to make that effort. You know, because it's a bylaw, yeah, but I think they're just willing to do it to be good citizens as well. I think if we say to them publicly, you are freed from all responsibility in this regard, they will act accordingly.
Well,
Speaking of collaboration, which is good. Even if the town were to take on this responsibility, we're not going to plow up to the doorstep, correct?
We would, my understanding is that we would not change the manner in which we plow, it would just be the frequency.
So it would still have to be a collaborative effort, because if I'm a business owner, I
You're
don't want to
open.
have this much snow.
Unless, of course, they
It's
just
just
throw
the
it onto the
steps that you have
sidewalk
to do.
because they say they don't have to worry about that anymore and we'll get it.
It would just be their step they would do.
or a
Well,
walkway.
for me, it'd be a little bit more just the way it's designed.
Yeah. Well,
So right now, the sidewalks are plowed the width of the blade of the plow. You do
No,
one
no.
sweep through, or do you come back and do a second sweep?
Like
To make it as wide.
in the block with a car up to 324, the first block of this area we're talking about, we have to do several passes because the sidewalk is very wide there.
Mm.
By farmer's market, several passes to clear that off.
Mm.
I mean, the only time we'll do just one pass if it's very, very heavy. And we just want to clear something, but then we still kind of get back to the top and we start pushing. Those are the days we'll have the backhoe out too, the snowing.
Mhm.
And we're actually piling snow up in places as opposed to just kind of plowing it off.
Right,
So yeah, where the sidewalk is wider, we do clear more.
yeah, and now we have two vehicles that can plow, right? We have the side by side with the blade on the front.
Absolutely, but
We
we
always
did have two previously.
We did have two previously, okay.
so, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, a couple of things, so I like the idea of encouraging. Business owners to try and clear if they can, and I like that encouragement. Whereas. This other approach is, it's very punishing because. The business owner could be served an order. They could have a lien placed against their property, they could be fined.
And
all
as it has
sounds
been,
Very
yeah.
Forever.
punishing.
I would look back in the history of town to see how many liens we placed for
I
lack of
know.
stuff shoveling snow, and I would wager 0.
Right.
But yes, but the same is true of any bylaw with a penalty.
Mm.
That's not restricted to this bylaw, it's not unique to this bylaw,
Right.
that is the nature of bylaws.
Correct, and it's the nature of this bylaw because of the arrangement where it goes from 324 down to the wharf. Right, that because of that stretch of
Well,
sidewalk,
that's determined to be the business
the
district.
business district. Which has inconsistencies because we've also got businesses beyond the wharf and we've got businesses on Drury Lane. Right,
Very few, but
Yeah.
absolutely true.
And that gets-
above 324.
There's no commercial area above there, but there are businesses existing in residential areas. This area from 324 down is zoned commercial general unless it's the other side of the street, but commercial general. Below Drury Lane, it does extend a little bit of commercial general in a mix with some residential and heritage commercial. So, but it still has a commercial nature, but and you're right, it's not included.
Yeah,
Other comments?
I can understand why this was implemented in the beginning because it was for a cost saving purpose.
I can't speak to that.
You know, shared that with us many years ago. This was why this was put into place, but I think our business district has expanded. And I just don't feel it's relevant now.
So you're suggesting we make everyone do it, or are you saying?
No, just,
Just, yeah.
I'd like to see it removed.
Well, those that are open and businesses that are active during the winter season are going to be actively clearing their front
Yes,
steps anyways.
yes, you are, before
But
or
that,
after.
but that's them taking care of their own business and that's part of their own exposure.
With
that
regard
sort
to
of
the
stuff.
steps, I think absolutely.
The thing that always bothers me with this is there's a whole section of downtown that is closed during the winter season.
Hmm.
You go from the farmer's market all the way up to Sinclair Muse and there's nothing open on that sidewalk section. Archipel, not on your side.
No, I just put my hand out to say something.
And even beyond that, because then you're into Harry Joseph's building there, where, because we own the drive, we own the Sinclair Muse parking lot.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm going, okay, so there's no activity. There's no inclination for them to, any activity on there is not going to any of these businesses, because they're not there, they're not open. They're just general population going through, walking down through the end of the sidewalk like any place else in town. And we are clearing them right now, because you've stated that you guys put it as a priority early, and if it's a continuation of snowfall, you're gonna go back. And you're gonna go not only just cut a path, you're gonna clear it wider. And that's what we've been doing as a town public works anyways. So. There's really no extra cost in there, because. Your only way you're gonna get call out for an extra cost down there is somebody says, oh, it's slipped and we need you to come down and salt it again. But if it's an ongoing snowfall, we're responsible for it anyways. It's not gonna change.
Within the bounds of the
snowfall.
policy, yes, yeah, well, we're not on call for that unless it's a truly dangerous situation. But yeah, we have a policy which states when we.
Like if you
take
said, okay, I'm gonna plow upper St. George because the snowfall is heavier, you're also gonna send your crews going down the lower St. George and down through the business district as well. It's
Yeah,
not,
it's not,
there's no, but it's,
snowfall's even.
right, so it's not gonna be an extra cost.
Well, we'll do an
Situation.
extra cost.
It-
But it's gonna be a generalized, for the whole thing anyway.
The extra cost would come if I do an additional trip downtown because of the change of policy.
Yeah.
And so I'm simply, as I asked, quantifying the cost of an additional trip.
So how
Based on that.
is the change of policy requiring you to make an additional drive down? Cause they're not coming out and cleaning it again. According to the policy, they don't have to even go out early until the snowfall stops. So if there's no additional snowfall, and you've already cleared it. Why would you be going down again?
Well into hypotheticals, but if we've cleared it and it continues to snow, and let's say there is 3 centimeters of snow on the ground.
Right,
And someone calls me and says, it's your responsibility, I know it's only 3, because we've had the discussion.
Yeah.
About, close to 5 centimeters, but not 5 centimeters, do we plow? Now they're gonna say, they can say, it's your responsibility, I want you to come down here because it's 3. And it hasn't stopped yet, it's gonna get to 5, even if it's not there, I need you to do this now. That would be an extra trip for us.
And before the business owners just did the in-betweens all the time themselves.
Yeah, even if they weren't open.
but they're not responsible by this bylaw, or the old bylaw to do that.
Yes, sir.
No, cause it was at the end of the snow occurrence that they had to do it. And not throughout a snow occurrence, it does not state that, it did not state that it was that they had to continue to clean the sidewalk all day long. Because that's what the responsibility was.
You're not incorrect, but I would disagree with the level of parsing here. I think when it's shared and people are aware that it's shared, we have good support. Even if it's not always timely, I think the support is there and it's
It's
good.
not gonna change the sharing of the load, because anybody that's an active business is still gonna be there and clear their spot.
I would say,
I would-
that would
We
be,
can't speak for everybody.
yeah, that would, if true, that's wonderful.
I would like to speak.
Okay.
What was your recommendation as to whether we keep the old policy or not?
I didn't have, again, spectrum, not everybody's perfect, but the old policy worked. The lawyers answered the question of, was this sharing of responsibility / liability appropriate / legal? Lawyers said yes, but you should tighten your language. And so my recommendation would be to follow the lawyer's guidance. In that regard, and in the policy, we had the discussion previously about amounts. And about making judgment calls when the amounts are close to 5 and things like that, and I thought we had good clarity amongst ourselves and in the way we were enacting the policy. So I think the policy worked, once we got to the place we got to, and now with tighter language, I see no issue. Again, no one's ever been ticketed to my knowledge. I have not even had to ask. The only comments I have ever made to a business owner with regard to that is to thank them for being out early and thank them for taking the time to do it.
So it still boils down to those in that section, it's required. It's not a collaboration, you are required to do this. If you're on Victoria Street and have a business, or you're on St. Anthony Street, or you're on Lower St. George, below the wharf. Or any other position in this town, any commercial operation is not required to do it. They do it only because they want to have a clear spot for their business customers to come through. They don't, there's only additional cost for those that are required to do. And that's what that's the problem that I see in this, is we have a section in this town that we are requiring those property owners by rule to clear your sidewalk and the town sections of sidewalk. And we don't do that to any other commercial space or residential owner in this town.
Correct, absolutely correct. And I think the rationale is because that is the most heavily trafficked, and that is our business core. So my understanding is that we're saying this area is in fact different from other areas because this has higher traffic, it has more people, it has a greater opportunity for accidents. And so because of that, we treat it differently. This is my understanding. Whether or not people will elect to be good citizens on their own without a requirement in the background. And that is the central argument of democracy. And so I can't speak to that. It'd be lovely if we could take all punitive measures out of every bylaw and say, hey, this is the expectation. This is how you should act. And everybody says, yeah, I get it. We're in it with you. But it exists. It's there. It's the nature of a bylaw. But in essence, it's toothless because it's not enforced.
Well, there's always that argument. We're enforcing a bylaw that we're talking about punishments and we're not gonna enforce, so why are they there?
Well, we could simply say they're there for the very rare instance where somebody's not wanting to do their part.
Well, the second thing that you made a comment on was the high traffic area. It's high traffic area in the next 3 months, in our next 4 months. But it's not high traffic in the middle of January.
It's not the same high traffic, but at any given point in the calendar, it is the area of highest traffic in the town. But yes, high traffic in December is not the same as high traffic in July, without a doubt.
Well,
I think we've been dealing with this and we tabled it. And I personally believe it's time for a decision.
Well, could we make the recommendation to council to approve the snow and ice control policy number 204-05 version 1 dated April 2024? I will make that motion.
I will second it.
further discussion on that motion.
Right, so yes, originally when we asked for a legal review, my understanding was not about tightening up the language of the current policy, but getting an understanding of who's liable if the town plows the sidewalk and somebody slips on it versus if a business owner clears the snow and someone slips on it. That's kind of where I thought we were going with this, but it seems we've gone in a different direction. That's point number one. And point number two is, who can answer this? Does it seem fair that the people who pay the highest tax rate in our town, the business community, do not receive the same services, i.e. snow clearing, that the residential part of town receives? Does it seem fair?
Okay, that's a whole, can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's kind of a whole different section. I'm just thinking in my head of the houses on Upper St. George Street. The sidewalks get plowed, yes. And then comes down and they plow the business sidewalks. But they don't go up the person's driveway and plow that, or up to the stairs. They, there's no special, like, they just go through and safely plow upper and lower, and then St. Anthony's, and then all the others. And then you make sure your driveway is clean, and I make sure my driveway is clean and my steps, so people can get into my building, same as when
Yes.
you want people to go into your building, your home. I think some of the responsibility does have to fall on us as business owners.
Okay, so let me respond to that one. So we,
Finish?
Yeah, I'm done, that's good, yeah, thank you,
I'll use my building, because my building has an actual, it's off the sidewalk.
yeah,
So if you're comparing it to residential,
it's different
the
though.
sidewalk but I should be able to clear the sidewalk coming into my building from town sidewalk in, just like I would do at my house. Right, that's my responsibility to entice somebody in. The town is plowing the sidewalk in front.
Mhm.
All we're saying here, and what Paula was saying, is that why are we then having this portion of a bylaw where if you don't clear the sidewalk that the town is plowing, that's the section that you're responsible for, and this section downtown where nobody else is responsible for it. If I have a business down below the wharf, I don't have to clear the sidewalk in front of my business,
You'll have to clear from
the sidewalk in.
after they plow to, yeah,
But you know, but
but nothing has changed,
I have to-
it's the same.
I have to clear in front of my building,
Mhm.
from property line to property line,
Yeah,
on their sidewalk. And I
They
have,
go
and I have a small entrance that comes in to my doorway,
are you talking down on, yeah,
same as everybody that has a commercial property down there,
but they're going through and cleaning it.
yes. So why are we then having a requirement that if I don't clear my section of sidewalk and maintain it throughout a snowstorm,
I think what
I can be
it's,
penalized?
okay, so I think it's because, there might be that time where it gets a little nasty, so you have to go back out and clean.
The other point I wanna bring up is, my building is closed all winter.
And
I'm
I've
not-
never not seen it cleared,
I'm not bringing anybody into my building,
yeah,
so why would I clear my sidewalk to bring anybody in?
but it's cleaned, it's cleared.
The sidewalk in front is clear, but it's
Yeah.
cleared by the town.
Yes, and it'll continue to be cleared by the town.
So then why do we need to have
Penalize
a
anybody in that section.
bylaw that requires the owners to do it?
It's not changed,
This is,
other than the wording
Draft
and the
two-
lawyer.
Draft one,
Two will remove this
Yes,
section.
yes, I know that.
and draft one leaves that section in, so anybody in this section going all the way down to the wharf is
Okay.
then required to clear and have it cleared and maintain it on their expense, even if they're open or not open.
This draft, it says that Public Works is not responsible at all. It's removing the portion that says that, oh, they may do it.
And
Now
they,
it's saying, don't
and they
There's no
do
promise.
do it.
at the moment, but.
Oh,
That's the workflow that has been described tonight, is that they're doing it anyway.
they do it, yes, and I think it's a good relationship that we have with them. I do.
But it's no different than the relationship if they drive in front of my house in Upper St. Joe.
No,
If
exactly.
they drive it, they don't do my driveway,
Yeah,
they plow
that's what I
stuff
was
in.
getting at. I think that we have a great relationship
Yeah, and
with
I think
ours.
A difference that could be pointed out.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that in the commercial area, commercial establishments, they pay different taxes, they make greater uses of public resources. Increased traffic on the sidewalks, greater burdens for parking and things like this, maintenance on the roads. They actually cost more, a given stretch of sidewalk in front of a business costs more than a given stretch of sidewalk in front of a residence, simply due to traffic and usage. And so that's a factor as well. It's not this, it is the same sidewalk, but it is not the same sidewalk when it comes to expense and workload to the town.
But that's the same thing, it's talking about the sidewalks on St. Anthony Street and Drury Lane.
But they're
and
not-
Church Street.
They're not
and-
commercial. They don't have the same level of traffic just from.
But they're
people
still-
using Things like this.
Again, I think we've gone around this way too many times. I think it's time for somebody to call a vote and just have down the motions on the floor.
Well,
That's my
discussion,
personal opinion. There's been plenty of discussion over many, many meetings. And we have other items, we just have to move on.
Call the question.
Can we just
And
make
just vote
sure
on
we
this
all know
one.
what we're voting on this one?
Yeah.
Please, somebody can just clarify what we're voting?
This is the
Policy
policy
version one.
version one, which keeps it in.
Yeah.
And basically, it's not really the responsibility of Public Works.
Yeah.
They'll do it at their own leisure and it's not their responsibility.
Actually, it says, it removes the portion that says to facilitate the removal of heavy snowfall amounts in the area referred to in the streets and sidewalk bylaw, the town will at times clear snow from the area. So it's actually saying that Public Works has no responsibility.
And this is version 1.
Yes, and this is a change, saying that
This is
there's
what-
no responsibility now, so it's putting
So-
even more responsibility on the owners than the previous policy.
So it's talks about the bylaw, the section of the bylaw is being removed from the policy. It's not saying that Public Works is not going to.
Right there.
Its sidewalks will still be tendered. So the section under number 2 talks about the bylaw that is removing the responsibility of the owners.
And they're removing out, however, these snowfall amounts of the area for two
Yes.
streets.
Yeah.
Version
The
2,
town will at times clear snow from this area, that's being removed as well, according.
but we're looking at version 1 right now, because
Yeah.
that's the motion on the table, and version
Yes,
1
just
is
the policy.
right?
Any further discussion? Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against?
No,
So.
Motion defeated.
Motion is defeated?
Yeah.
Can I have a motion on
Version 2.
version 2?
Okay, recommend to council to approve the snow and ice control policy number 204-05 version 2 dated April 2024.
Any discussion on, oh, any second,
I'll second that.
sorry, any discussion on that?
Again, let's just clarify what we are.
Are we removing that section that says however to facilitate the overall removal of heavy snowfall?
That appears to be in there, isn't
It's to
it?
repeal.
So no one's going to be responsible for removing snow?
What?
That's from the bylaw. The bylaw has been changed, right?
Yeah.
So this is just referring to the bylaw, which the bylaw, when you look at the bylaw, has been updated.
So we removed that out of the bylaws and now it's removed out of this.
So should we be approving the bylaw, dealing with the bylaw prior to the policy then?
Well, the policy is number 2, section 2 has been removed, most of it. Well, we're gonna do the bylaw next. We're still on the policy right now. So version 2 of the policy removes the section that says that it's responsibility of the owners, occupiers, and persons in charge of houses, stores, and lots.
Correct.
Okay. In respect to clearing the snow inside and ice from the sidewalks. So in version 2, that whole paragraph will be removed.
Right.
Okay.
So the sidewalks will be tendered as soon as possible after precipitation has stopped. And maybe.
Yeah.
That's all it's gonna say.
Okay.
And that the sidewalks will be salted in the manner of the Director of Operations and Development has inspected, blah, 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 if necessary.
But this is in the policy, and then in the bylaw, it will say that it's the responsibility of the town to clear the sidewalks, correct? In version 2,
I'm not sure which version of the bylaw.
okay.
It's confusing.
It is confusing and dangerously confusing, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
It's,
it's
I think important that we
One that's
know.
highlighted,
Well, you still get the second, this is just recommended to council, so you'll see it one more time at council.
Okay,
With all of the
changes made.
stroke, like all of the things highlighted, removed, and all of the crossed, so it will be clearer in the second version, and if you don't like it at that point as well, then you still can
This
not pass it,
section
right?
here, this highlighted, and is it been Are we removing it out of this
Yes.
portion?
So you'll, what I'm trying to say is you'll see the clean version
Okay.
at council. And if you still don't like the clean version, you still have the opportunity, right, to fix it.
Yes.
Okay. Further discussion? Question on the motion? All those in favor?
I,
Aye. Against?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion is passed. So. Now we're going on to number 4. Bylaw.
So in both of the drafts, we added the contents that are highlighted there in yellow. And then we also added. Section 3. That we changed the name, of course, to the Director of Municipal Operations and Development.
Mhm.
And then we talked about the owner, just to clarify that.
Yeah.
And then under section 9, so this is the one that they're still responsible, so you won't want to look at this one.
Okay.
And then. So in draft 2. The same two things are stayed the same. And then in section 3, snow removal. It takes out the section that the 324 is responsible. And it just states that the snow will be removed within the 4 hours and the following, and the Director of Municipal Operations may remove, and then that would all be taken out because that was the information that the solicitor wanted added in to strengthen the bylaw. So all the bylaw states is that the snow will be removed off the sidewalks after the 4 hours, within the 4 hours after the snow has ceased falling.
Yeah.
Okay.
okay, so we're down to a vote on version 1 and a vote on version 2.
Well, you can just go to version 2, you don't need to
Yeah.
go to version 1 if you want to make that motion.
So motion on version 2.
Mhm.
To recommend to council to approve first reading of the streets and sidewalks bylaw version 2 dated June 2024.
Seconder,
I'll second that.
any discussion? Question on the motion? All those in favor?
I,
Against?
Nay.
Nay.
Motion is passed. Okay, so we are again now moving into new business, water capital. Tab 9.
And we'll just ask, oh, there's Melanie, so she's here as well to go over the water capital. Should be quick because there's not much in that one.
I'm just trying to share my screen. And let me know when you see it. Wrong one.
It's the wrong one now.
I know. Okay, we'll do the water utility first. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah,
So we have where we ended the year, the actuals, the second column with a deficit of 10,300. We're predicting with this budget without a water rate study, even with a water rate study, a deficit of 70,623. So I'll go through really quickly what that is and why that is happening. So we predict a minimum increase with residential sales with a few more Royal Estates coming on stream. For the most part, it's flat there. All of our expenses seem flat until we get to around the water line maintenance. And in here, we've got a curb stop at Cafe Composé, which is already done. Brown Brothers did it. We also have a water line at the farmer's market, which is 4875. And then we have the pressure reducing valve that needs to be fixed. We have new salary because we have new staff. Here also we have training expense, which is for 2 people in the Public Works Department to become water and sewer certified. We've got a couple of big costs here and here. Some shop expense that wasn't done last year, and truck expense. We need new tires, pardon me, and a few other things. And these ones that are highlighted in yellow are a function of categories in the town operating. They automatically go 35% of those costs get shifted a year. Salaries for admin are up. Due to some staff changes and increase in here, we have roof repairs to our building here. And that is driving the building expense and our other general office expense fees that are sort of like a one-time, but you see the following 2 years they level off. And then I've got $15,000 in here for water rate study. When we went, I think we went to, I inquired last year approximately how much a water rate study was. I think it was a little bit more than that, but in or around that rate. Then we have our depreciation, our debt load, and that's where we come up with our 70,623. So we do need to have a water rate study. I rushed you through it, but only because if you have any questions, Ken's here to ask, because the water capital is going to be real easy.
So we put in a year that we're expecting to have $50,000 in deficit, we added the water rate study for an additional 15,000 in deficit.
That's right.
Wouldn't it have been better to move it to the following year when we're not doing a $20,000 roof repair?
And we could do that at your decision.
We can't.
Well, we, after so many years of being a deficit, you have to do a water rate study.
But we do have, this is our 1 year that we've had a deficit. This is the first year in a long time. We do have a YTD surplus. That's a year-to-date surplus. So it can absorb the 10. I don't know about absorbing 70,000.
Well, there just seems to be a lot of extra expensive in 1 year, like this, we got $23,000 in extra expense on the building this year. That's just the 35% for the water utility.
Yep.
Well, that's the roof, the town
Yeah,
hall.
that's over $60,000 overall, right? We're spending over $60,000 on a roof here.
What was in the budget, Ellen? for the roof?
I'm trying to open it up so I can get there.
We approved, if the roof were to be reshingled, it was going to be.
Yeah, but there's
$30,000.
a whole group of accounts in here. It's not just one. So just bear with me for a second while I look at this. I just need to switch my screen. So that's 34. So what is in there is Nova Scotia Power, the fuel, oil for this building, cleaning, water, our insurance, and our insurance went skyrocketed. The repairs to the building, which is the 45,920, and supplies and insurance. So there's a whole conglomerate that goes into this one account.
For the new fire rate, does that require a water rate study to set the new fire rate?
No,
A fire rate would be in your taxes, not your water.
No, but I was just wondering if it had to be factored in or not. Doesn't?
No, because it's the same expenses. You're just putting it
Shifting.
online by itself.
So what is the normal expense for this building? Now, it's not like next
Yeah,
year,
so
it's
last-
11.5.
Yeah,
This
so
year's
last year we
10.5.
spent 10.
Yes. In the
That was,
upcoming
that,
forecast.
so 10 was, whoops, so 10 was our power here, our oil, our cleaning, our water, everything to run this building.
All that, yeah.
Even our office supplies. That's every,
Okay. But and out of those new numbers in that 34,000. What's causing the $23,000 jump? Is it just the roof expense?
the roof expense is, well, the roof for the repairs. There is. In that 45,920 is the cleaning of the heat pumps. And the roof repairs. Those two things make that up.
Make up the 23,000.
Yes.
So. That seems awful high.
Like if the roof repair is 46,000, which is more than what we approved in the budget.
No, let me just go and it's not the roof repair is, so I said 45,920, but that means it's other things besides the roof. It's also the heat pump cleaning. I'm trying to get to that really fast so I can tell you exactly what it is.
Well, I know.
But our building expenses are going up 24,000.
Oh, absolutely.
And we are projecting that next year and the year after that, they're going to go back down to 11,500, 11,845.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
it's suggesting an extraordinary expense of $24,000, which is only 35%
Oh,
of
that's
the
not bad.
actual cost.
Right,
But those 11 numbers, the 11.5 and 11.85,
Those are not
those are
realistic.
not realistic.
so what is
Because
the
in-
actual
So
cost of the building without the roof?
the actual cost of this building without
Under
the
the water utility?
The 35%, yeah, under the water.
would be 24,726.
So it's double?
No, that's 35%. So I'll just tell you what is in the repairs for the building. It's the old coal shut, water leak in victim services, cleaning of mini splits, scrape and paint, and the asphalt shingles. That's what's in there.
Okay. But what is the difference between the normal cost allocated to this building? That we should, like, we weren't doing the roof repair and stuff.
Yeah,
We're trying
20,
to figure out why this is up $24,000.
Yeah,
Trying to figure out.
20,000 of that would be the roof.
Roof is 65,000?
No,
Okay, but if it's not 65,000, then
$45,920. So there's another $20,000 in repairs being done.
maybe there's an error in her calculation.
Yeah,
Okay.
sun doesn't seem.
So this is what I've got for the repairs, all of the repairs. 45,920. So 45,920, if you take 35% of that,
16 grand.
The 16 should be in this, on this line.
No,
Yeah.
it means that our expenses are going up by at least $16,000 plus any
yeah,
inflation for other costs.
so it's 16. So it's 45,920 divide 0.65. Yeah, I've got it a little too high there. It should be about 16,000. So if I just change this. That this 34 comes to 25,769.
Yeah, other questions? And then. Public work trucks expense.
Yeah, so that is, and is Ken still with us? Yeah, so that includes,
How much of the tires?
Anything he wants.
So this is what all I have in there. I have the fuel, the labor, the insurance, and the half-ton parts. It's the whole truck expense.
Oh, so not 35%?
Yeah, it's 35%, yeah.
Of the
That's
whole
what I
truck,
meant.
but from the other budget.
The big thing with the trucks this year is tires. Lead time. I
Okay,
could drive without tires, but it's very noisy and.
How much are your tires? Cause that's $3,000, which is 35%, which is $10,000 in tires.
It's two vehicles, not one, including the half ton, which has extra tires.
Well,
Or the one ton.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but right now, the
Why?
increase over normal operating.
I can't speak to that because I didn't write that, but the big expense for trucks, tires this year.
Are we disposing of the older truck?
We will, yeah, we're just gonna get through the busy season. We'll dispose of it. I'm right now, I'm thinking reserve price between 3,000, 3,500, so it would. Assuming it goes, which it's not, that's a really very reasonable value.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that'll
sell-
That won't go to public works, so it'll go into miscellaneous revenue. 'Cause I never see the cash.
just saying.
So you're not going back to the question, you're not buying $9,000 of tires.
It's several thousand worth, especially for the one, but I don't believe it's 9,000 offhand. But they're expensive.
And the 1 ton is part of the 35%?
I assume it's just a truck expense as such.
This is just half-ton. This is just the half-ton. And the new, I forget what you call it, the side-by-side.
Did we have to buy,
No
we
tires,
didn't
though.
have to buy tires for that, not this
I
year.
hope not.
And yes, we're just driving everywhere.
So
We haven't
is
driven
that
tires out yet.
accurate then? Let's see.
Ken, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm available.
Thanks,
anytime.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
So our truck expense for the half-ton only, including insurance and repairs and fuel,
Tires.
is going to be roughly $20,000, with 35% of that being paid for by the water budget.
I had 14,000 is the total. That's what I have. And then I have for the parts, I had 5150. So whether that's right or not, I don't know. That's the number when Ken and I sat together.
So 5150 for parts. And the other amount,
14.
I have fuel at 68.25. But when I think about it, if we're using the side by side, it shouldn't have that kind of fuel on it.
That's a good catch.
but if we're using both the trucks, both half-tons,
Until September.
Till September.
which I noticed.
Yeah, but
they
I
both
think,
be
I think
used
this
a
could
lot.
be, I think this could go down to 5. With the, I really think it could go down to 5 because that was, the fuel was when we had 2 half-tons and we were running them all the time.
Which we are right now.
Until September.
Yeah,
So fuel 5,000, and then there's other, obviously insurance.
yeah, the insurance, and I had $525 worth of labor in there.
Okay.
And you had budgeted those kind of numbers for the previous year as well, at the lower amount of 4,000, right?
Yep,
So the increase.
that's not a budget, that's an actual number.
So the increase is really the tires.
Yeah.
Just the
And-
tires.
And a little bit of insurance right now, cause we're carrying 2 trucks and we'll probably get a refund when we won't because we'll be swapping one out for a side-by-side and I'm sure the insurance on a side-by-side is gonna be very, well, Michael, you would know better than I do. Would it be the same as a half?
They probably do your insurance based on a base rate unit, so it's probably $300 per vehicle. Type, commercial, or It'll probably be very similar.
Yeah. So I think 5,028 or 5,000 is a good number.
And the general office expense increase of 4,000?
General office, let me see, 19,908. So what
So-
that is, so IT, that's IT. That's our photocopier, that's our software, our internet, membership fees, postage, stationery, advertising, phone, training, and courses and conference.
So last year's actual was 15,000, this year's estimate is 19, we'll say 20 grand. So the difference being roughly $5,000, what's causing a $5,000 increase over the actual of this year?
Let me just open up my budget, my report and tell you that.
That would be based upon our budget that we approved in April, right?
Yes. But for last year. Oh, I want sorry, I want 02. So this is 0225,200. 0225,200.
Because if she's going on a training, you have to stop incorporating to the water utility unless it's part of your utility training, right?
It shouldn't be.
All right, so I'm just gonna tell you what was in there. Oh, well, it's 35% from Town of Annapolis Royal, so I've got to go back and look now at the Town of Annapolis Royal, so just bear with me for a minute. So this is 012124. So, I'm just trying to see if something jumps out at me. 21290. So it's software. Oh, I see what's in there from last year. And it shouldn't be in this one, but we had a wellness expense, which was Krista had got that money for a grant, and it may be included in here. It shouldn't be, but I don't see it in here. It's not in here. IT, town website, the phone, photocopier, software, hardware, internet, membership fees, postage was up a bit, but not much. And victim services operation, no, that's not in there. That's what the cost came in at. That's what they came in at. Like, there's nothing that's jumping out at me, but that's what they are.
And what was the total again? Because we changed the numbers a bit.
Well,
No, it's.
we still have this $5,000 increase on general office
Yeah,
expense.
it was.
Yeah, I'm just gonna look and see if I can see anything from last year to this year that looks out of place.
So why did you change it from 19 to 13, Melanie?
Because the IT and the software has gone way down.
Wow.
From last year?
Yeah, we had over budgeted the software. And,
Nice.
well, I
Okay.
used Jeff's budget when we budgeted this, but then we cut a lot of things back and we know exactly what we spent now.
So you're going lower then.
Yeah,
Very
and I'm
low.
just trying to see courses and travel were training. So training, we're probably not gonna spend, I've got 2184 in the training, but we're probably not gonna spend that, but that was the budget of the town operating. So all I do is I take the numbers from the town operating and I put them in here.
Yeah, so that's,
So a lot of this has already been approved.
Yes.
Yeah.
you got
So-
legal expense this year.
So I think that this can go down to 13,000, 12,940 actually. And then the building Well, the building, I've already gone over what the building is.
And then if we decide to move the actual,
To take that water rate study out,
then just move it to 1 year, you're gonna drop it another 15,000.
Were we gonna get a second quote on the roof reshingling?
No, you passed your budget.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there was a discussion after the fact about the dormers.
Yeah, so we're still working on it.
Yeah, okay, that's what I meant, yeah.
So we'd be pushing out the deficit to, or another deficit to year two, which is no big deal, 25, 26. So if you move the water rate study out, you just create a deficit in the next year.
So that'll be
Which is fine.
the third year with the deficit.
Yeah,
So you'll be mandated to do
Yeah.
it in the
exactly.
25, 26, whether you want to or not.
right?
Where this year, we have the money from
Well-
Nova Scotia Power.
The other thing
Oh,
though,
that's
in
good.
next year, you don't have the roof expense, we don't have the tire expense, we were, you know.
You'll still have a deficit. Cause our rates haven't changed since
oh, long time.
20. I was the utility clerk when the last time.
Oh, really? That long?
Long time, it's been a long
I
time.
can't remember what year they were, but that was a long time ago.
I mean, the reason we haven't,
Do, but-
the reason we haven't had to is because we have been growing and our numbers were growing and growing. And they still may grow, it's hard to say with the as the Royal Estates come on stream, it's hard to say. For residential, I only predicted like a $33,000 increase.
Fort J Mills has. three new
Yeah,
houses in
it may be more than that, maybe I could put it up more, but
Okay,
I don't know.
But we did have a lot of expenses. The PBR has fallen. We have a lot of water issues lately.
Yeah,
I can see this restudy being needed, it's just that. It's,
Yeah, 1 year and the next year is no big deal.
we're planning a lot of expenses through this year's one, I would. It would make sense to do it this year, I would do it following.
So everybody's good with moving it to the following year? The
Yes.
water rate study?
yes.
Okay. Now, since this was your first look and you have lots of questions, no one asked Melanie questions prior to the meeting. Do you want to go ahead and approve this, or you want to sit with it?
I'm fine with it. Yeah,
Okay.
all my questions have been answered. That's just me.
So
I think
can
we're
I
good.
show you the proposed capital budget now?
Yeah.
You wanna do a recommendation here on this before we move on?
You could do them both in one if you want, if you're good with it.
Let's
So-
do each one.
Yeah,
Melanie, are you comfortable with the numbers?
I
that are on
am,
the budget?
I am. And I think this is, I think the 37, the negative 37 is the worst case scenario.
Yeah, okay.
so for your budget, you need that number. So what's the new number for the utility?
37.
No, 435, 105?
No, it's not the same as taxes. It's just a deficit of 37,275.
That makes sense.
In taxes,
Use the number above.
your revenue and your expenses equal. In this case, it doesn't.
Yeah, but the total budget for this fiscal year is 430.
Well, the revenue is 397, 830, and the expenditures are 435, 105, which gives you a net deficit of 37,275.
So in the budget, you don't want the expenditure amount?
No, just the 3-year budget as presented, and you can see now I've taken the water rate study, moved it to year 2, so we have a negative 10, and then in year 3, normalizes and we go back to a surplus. And our debt load is gone. We have 1 more year of the MFC debt load, and that will be gone.
That's good.
So what is the draft motion for?
Utility.
To
the
accept
water
the
utility.
3-year operating water utility budget from 2024 to 2025 to 2026, 2027. as
Okay.
presented.
I thought we were just doing the 1 year.
As discussed.
No, for the water utility,
But we put it on
so
multiple
for the
years.
URB, you have to do a 3-year budget. Doesn't mean you're committed to year 2 and 3, but you have to have a 3-year budget.
Oh, okay, right,
Well, it's right there.
So,
with the removal of the water rate study.
yeah,
Okay, that has to be in the motion.
no, because she's got.
Just
the
only
number.
edit.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't really remove it, she just switched it to
just
the another year.
switched it to another year.
So instead of 484, we're doing the.
We're not doing a number at all. We're
We're
just doing what she just said.
Recommending council. Okay,
Kristen, did you get what she said?
well, we need one of you guys.
Yeah, well, I'll make that motion that Melanie put forward.
There is one there in your list.
But it's wrong.
Yeah, but it's
Just
wrong.
Remove the number.
Recommend the council to approve the water utility budget 2024-2025, and the
No.
2025 to 2027
As presented.
as presented. Did you get that?
With the edits,
No,
As.
okay,
as presented.
all right.
As we now have it presented.
I'll second that.
Are you sure, Paul?
No, I'm not, but
No.
Clear as mud.
no. And
Any further
I'm good.
discussion on that motion?
Yeah, it's all good.
Question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Now we can do the capital.
Thanks,
Okay,
Melanie, for that one.
no problem. The same deal is with this. We have to have a 3-year capital budget. So
Okay.
just to show you where the money is, we've got a couple reserve accounts, and that's the money that was in there March 31st. And our depreciation for water utility. This is the amount, it's our depreciation. This is the amount right here, comes right from here. We're mandated, we have to move that money, the depreciation, into capital water. That's where the money comes in from. Then we end the year with, or then we'll have total capital of 870. We're gonna spend 4620. You've already approved 18,200. That was for the water meter reader. And we've been on a placement of replacing the water saddles, and we've got 10 left to do. So we'd like to do those 10 this year. So our total budget for this year for capital will be 46.2. Next year, we were gonna do a couple meters and a water tower fill system. You're not committed to year 2 or year 3, but you have to do it. And then water meters in year 3. And that would leave us, if we spend the 46.2, that leaves us with a balance of 823 in the water capital.
Questions, discussion?
No.
Like we need a motion. First.
Well, I would like to say that the PCAP, which has been added to the agenda, one of the grants that we were thinking of filling out was for the second water source drilling of the wells.
Yeah.
We did not get the grant the first time, so we were thinking of applying for it again. So, and that would just be if we got the money, so I don't know if you wanna add that to this budget, or if you don't want me to apply. Cause if we apply, we should add it to the budget, correct, Melanie?
We don't, we could amend the budget after we find out if we get the grant.
All right,
We'll move it.
Yeah,
And do we need new numbers for the second water source?
well, I was waiting to make sure that you wanted to
Right,
do it
right.
before I found
Thank
it,
you.
but we can talk about that later, then if we got to amend this.
Yeah,
Thank
that's a
you.
big conversation.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a different.
I have a motion on this capital budget.
Yeah, I move to recommend to council to approve the water utility, the water capital budget. 2024-2025 in the amount of $46,200 and the 2025-2027 as presented.
I'll second.
Now, any discussion? Hearing none, question on motion, all those in favor? Aye. That was easy.
Yeah.
Well. After I thought about it, since Melanie's still here, maybe we could just keep going with Melanie's stuff and I can go back so that she
Sure.
can leave,
Yes,
Yeah.
good idea.
you know.
Sure.
So.
So new
So new
business.
business one,
Yeah.
One. Okay, tab 7.
All right, so, so now I'm just gonna give you, a summary. I need to find Zoom again. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen and I'll give you a summary of where we ended the year. we're in our audit. We have our audit again tomorrow. There's a couple things I don't have yet. Oh, can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
No, but I have no map.
Yeah, so there's a couple things we don't have yet. I don't have the surplus from Valley Waste, so that's not booked because they haven't given it to me. And I also don't have our housing deficit cost. So those two things aren't booked here yet.
Do we have
So-
an estimate on the Valley Waste?
No, Dwight can't
Okay.
even give me an estimate.
Okay.
No. I budgeted 15, but I honestly, I don't know. So taxes were flat, grants in lieu, a little bit high, and that's because the Nova Scotia grant in lieu came in higher than what we budgeted. Services to other government, we budgeted 95, we came in at 138, and that's because our sewage bill to the county was a lot higher than we budgeted, because we could build them back for our sewer costs. Conditional transfers, the 81,000, we thought we were gonna have to bring in 80,000 from the operating. We didn't end up having to bring it in, so I didn't bring it in. The D transfer here, the 106 concessions and franchises, 124.5, 28,000 was D transfer. It came in above what we budgeted, and that's gonna be higher because I still don't have the Valley Waste surplus in here. Recreation was budgeted 48.1, it came in at 52, and that's because our recreation programs, that pickleball blowing up, and he had a lot of rentals for birthday parties and things like that.
Fun.
Marketing, the 120 versus 112, that was, we got a grant for CWP ambassador, and it didn't come in, we didn't get as much because we were late hiring that person. So we budgeted 2.615, we came in at 2.668 in revenues. Then under our expenses, under legislative general government, we budgeted 172, we came in at 161. Councils, conference travel and engineering were all below, and as well, the election expense that we budgeted, we didn't have to incur because, as you know, we didn't end up having an election. The general admin 196 versus 199, salaries came in higher, there was an adjustment to a salary. Taxation 31.5 versus 18, the repairs to the building that we had budgeted didn't happen, and that was the painting around back and the things that we put in the budget again this year. A general admin 36 came in at 33, and that's because we're still carrying around 2,500 in a heritage award that we received when we had the Heritage Conference here several years ago, and we still have to give it back.
Yeah, excuse me.
Yes,
Melanie, the numbers that I have in my package are completely different to the ones you're presenting right now.
Like for taxation, for example, we had budgeted 23,000. We came in at 153,681.
We have 31 March 2022.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was just a typo.
That's all it is, Melanie.
sorry. Okay.
I thought the date was a typo, but the numbers were right, but I think we've got the wrong
No, it's the
spreadsheet.
wrong one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. But we can work from your numbers.
yeah, my numbers are good numbers.
I can't read them.
Yeah,
I mean, just highlight it if you can make it a bit bigger.
oh, yes, I can, sorry.
Could we do?
Is that
do something
better?
else?
Okay.
I haven't had a chance to look at
Yeah.
them.
I want to be able to,
Okay,
Delve into it.
yeah.
What, I'm fine with that.
Can we have it, could we do it again in council? Is that permitted?
This is just
Oh,
a
no,
review
this
of
is
the
just-
meeting.
this is just where we are at the end of the year. You're going to have the real numbers from the auditors.
So what's the bottom
Okay.
line, Melanie? That would help.
Yeah, we don't need to.
Ready
go line
for
by
it?
line.
251,
Yeah.
262. Surplus,
Okay.
All right, that's a good number.
yeah.
251,
Better than I-
262.
Negative in front of it.
We should get a little started.
I don't like seeing them.
The negatives, yeah.
Brackets.
We'll just push that out, maybe the negative.
Yeah, I thought,
I should
I
have
was gonna-
noticed the date earlier.
yeah, sorry.
Well, no, I should have noticed. We all
Yeah.
should have noticed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you ended the year.
Okay,
Okay.
Now.
Unaudited, so we'll get an audited report.
Oh, yeah, this is, I just wanted to give you a heads up where we're,
Yeah,
Anybody want to copy of it? Paul, you want to copy of it?
I do.
yeah. So I'm gonna stop sharing and then I'll, if you don't have any questions on this, I'll show you the capital.
okay.
Okay, stop sharing and then I go to share. Fourth quarter capital, so this is where we ended the year. Can everybody see my screen here?
Yep.
And I can probably make it bigger, hopefully if you got the right one.
No, we got the right one.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. we're good.
So we budgeted, we thought we'd spend 529, we came in at 380, 380, 390. The biggest part of that was the solar panels. We got, of course, we got the money, 250. We got that March 31st, but we only spent about not even half, well, we spent more than half, but anyway, so that project is happening now, or it's probably complete by now, because this was March 31st. So we had another amount to spend next year. So you approved it in the budget when you passed it. Everything else, like the water main saddles, we thought we'd get them all. That's the last one, 60. We only spent 40. So that's why the other 20 is in the budget for that you just approved from the water capital.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
The water mains are in our general capital fund.
Well-
Why aren't they in the water capital?
This, if you read it, it's general capital and water capital. So when you see 03 here, those 4 are water and the 4s are general. So that's general
Yeah.
capital and general water all together.
Oh.
Yeah, they're all together here.
So, okay,
Is the warming center? Is that the?
That was
solar-
so that was the generator.
The generator.
Yeah,
okay.
and we got a grant for 41,520 and we got that grant the year before, so our cost of that 51,093 to get it up and
No.
running is 95,73.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's where we ended, that's really where we ended with the year. And so when our audit is complete on the other end, that surplus, after there's a couple things that aren't booked, but after they are booked, it's still gonna be around 250. And that money gets moved into the operating reserve.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna stop sharing if there's no other questions.
questions?
no,
Thank you very much, Melanie.
Okay,
thank
yeah,
you, Melanie.
yeah.
Thank you.
Well, she's still got lots more.
Yeah, there's a whole.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
All kinds of. Have we done everything? It's very confusing.
So now we're on number 5.
HR policy?
Survey questions. Consultation. I think I'm going the wrong direction, so.
Okay. Hold on. Okay,
Okay.
so. Did everybody have a chance to review this?
Yeah.
Anybody have any specific points they want to bring up?
No,
Yes, page 9, the first change at 202, I guess, 22.
The word fire?
All new hires.
Yeah.
I saw that.
We found that, yep.
What is the difference for part-time employees now 25 hours? What was it before?
28.
28.
Oh. The market was 25. Okay.
And definitions, there should be definitions. I'd suggest we add department, applicant, and town under definitions.
We have town.
No, under the definitions, it's empty. There are no definitions provided. There's one down here under policy procedures. There's no definitions provided.
Under 201,
One
the
is stuck
definitions
under-
of terms are there.
Oh, am I looking at the same thing?
Yeah, there's
Keep
another section
referring
under definition of 201.
Sorry,
I'm probably looking at something else.
this is what she's referring to, section 2,
Oh, section 2.
which was the definition.
Okay, yeah, I was looking at something else. 201.
So, and I noticed in 8, the human resources shall be comprised of a CAO and 2 members of council appointed each year in December.
Yeah.
And we want that in there, or are we taking that out?
No,
Well, it was all members of council and
Oh,
staff
yes.
are suggesting it's.
It used to be
Should
that.
Definitely should be too, because we really haven't we need a proper HR.
Yeah, it used to be that, didn't
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure. Well,
And it just all went, I'm really glad to see that back in there.
Which one is that? Andy?
That's
Number
on
8.
8.
201.
Oh, sorry, definition of terms.
Yeah, 2 members of council.
Yes, yeah, I'm
CAO.
really, really glad to see that.
Yeah, and I think,
It's
if-
much more respectful.
but I think if that's in, there should be a requirement for, there should absolutely be a requirement for training. You know, just like there is for the audit committee,
Yeah, there should be some
there
sort
should
of,
absolutely be something. It shouldn't
Yeah.
just be to anybody and absolutely
No
no training.
background
It's just
and-
not fair.
yeah,
And it's a high risk area, so,
yeah.
anyway, just a point, I agree with you.
And you say training, like who would offer, how would where would we get the
Well,
training through the FM?
Different ways, you
Yeah.
can do it in-house, we could even bring an employment lawyer in and do something with the county of Middleton.
Or NSFM might have some.
NSFM, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, they could give us like,
But it really does matter.
I think it does matter, that's, yeah, totally.
But anyway, the change,
Yeah.
I'm okay with 2. So mine was at 202, I'm sorry, mine was further off.
That's okay.
So 202, all new hires will provide a criminal record check and provide annual driver's abstract, it's just language.
Mhm.
Instead of complete provide.
Yeah, you want them to actually give it to you, right? Not
We
just
do,
complete
not just
form.
do it.
Right,
The medical coverage, the numbers are now 75% and 25%. What were they before?
50-50.
yeah, and so what's the cost of making that change?
Well, this review is done, under the description of it is every 3 years.
Yeah, so this is the 3rd year. This is why we're doing it.
So we made this change of 75-25. The next time it'd be looked at is 3 years out.
No,
No,
it would be the next budget.
so that can change
So-
annually.
No, so the policy would be in effect as of whenever it's passed. So it would become in effect of April 1st, 2025.
I thought the 75-25 was an exception to 1 year only.
No, that was a different decision, this is a change in the policy, and this is what staff have come back with. So one of the options we asked them to look at was self-insurance, because they are on the most expensive plan. So one of the options here is self-insurance, which I don't think has been looked at.
Melanie's been researching it.
You're silent.
You-
Can't hear you, Melanie.
We can't really switch our benefit plan because we're so small. I think there's 5 users. And we don't qualify for anything other than what we've got.
But that's what I mean, if it's so expensive, one of the things you could do is self-insure, meaning council approves a sum of money. And an employee committee approves the expenses. It is an option, it's being done in business. You know, when costs get ridiculous for a small group. Because right now, there's absolutely no, like, what's the total cost that we're looking at?
That I don't know, Amory. I haven't.
So I
calculated
think we
that
need
cost.
cost information, because it is out of control,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there was also some that were okay with it and some that weren't.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, it's down the middle, yeah.
So-
Yeah,
How many employees can be on the plan? To make it still a functioning plan?
I think you have to have 5 and we're at 5.
Oh, so if we had 4, then they wouldn't.
You wouldn't have a plan.
I don't
They
know
would
what
say
would I
nine.
don't know what would happen at 4. I don't know. I haven't asked. I guess I can ask.
So in the past, have there been more and just?
Oh,
as
yeah,
years-
there was a lot. There used to be a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like if you're mandated to take this plan unless you have another plan that you belong to, like the employees that are coming on now, their spouse has a plan and they belong to that. So they don't
Yeah.
have to belong to this, but if you don't, you have to belong to this. And so there's the bronze, there's the silver, and there's the platinum, and so
Okay.
we vote, the members vote every year. And
Is it every year?
they wanted the platinum. We had
Yeah.
a reaction, didn't,
Yeah,
So there's one counselor that's on that right now, right?
yeah.
So if that counselor decides to not run, we're down to 4.
Well, that's one of the proposals they've made is that that be eliminated.
no, there's 5 staff and 1 counselor.
Okay.
Oh, then we're at 6.
So 307 ties into 309, so we need costs.
Costs are important because if we're going to be also increasing the cost to the town by 25%, we need to know how much this is going to be.
Yeah. And what's the rule right now for getting a medical letter? Is it 5 days now or is it 3 days now?
Our policy was 3 and that's why we're going to 5,
Why is it?
because the
why-
5 is what is the standard.
Province changed it.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
And a lot of people
About
don't
6
bother
months.
with those arbitrary things because if there's a pattern of absenteeism, then you initiate a
Yes.
letter. So a lot of people don't even deal with why, it doesn't mean anything. If somebody's going for physio or whatever, whatever days, it doesn't matter. So anyway, but I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wait on this until we have more costing details for.
Well, on that,
309.
on that particular one, yeah, 307 and 309 go together.
We can't recommend to council unless we
But we can still keep going through the
We
rest
can
of them, so we
keep
know which
going
ones
through,
we have to
yeah.
look at.
Come back.
come
Yeah.
back to, right?
So the thing that you have highlighted in the end of April for vacation. Was it not like that before, or how, is this a new thing that everyone's gonna have to let?
So this
Director
is
of
just,
Finance?
Melanie does, she gives the department heads a report on who's got what,
Yeah,
and she always has it done at the beginning of April, but I just wanted to give her some more time in case something happened,
mhm,
so we just say the end of April.
And I think the last point of that paragraph should say of eligible vacation days they are entitled to. Just language again.
Section 3.15 parental leave, that's highlighted. Was that section not there before?
It was called,
Oh, it's just a different name.
different.
Maternal.
Maternity, yeah.
Yeah.
But 3.15 only applies to maternity, whereas 3.16 applies to paternity. So I'm thinking you should probably keep it at maternity leave and because it's only women who can give birth these days, unless something's changed, which it could have.
Are you saying that under 3.15, number 1 should actually say
3.15,
paternity, not maternity?
no, all
Or
3
is it-
clauses deal with maternity. I
Yes,
think.
cause then they, underneath this 3.6.
Yeah, 3.16 deals with paternity, so I'm not sure why that was.
So it should be maternal.
Yeah,
Maternal leave.
Yeah,
cause you have that and
And then, yeah,
then you
paternity.
definitely,
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
confusing.
So we're, okay, are we going, if we're going through these, we're all good with the ones above this?
Yes.
so
Yeah.
far,
312,
so far.
that's for holidays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Christmas gifts, yeah.
yeah,
I think it was $50 before, wasn't it?
75.
Oh, 70, yeah.
yeah,
I'll
$100.
buy
That's
you
reasonable.
turkey.
Just a leg.
Just
Okay.
One half,
3.15 maternity leave.
that's the last one, no?
Yeah,
Oh, no, there's one, when the town employees leaving there.
Just there, because we were trying to make it non-binary.
yeah.
Good.
So it's just that
And then-
cost.
Salary and benefits was the CAO or director of finance to do the salary survey, because usually the director of finance does it.
So it could be and or
Yeah.
in together if so be, okay.
So Melanie will bring some cost back for
Yeah.
those other changes, and we'll update the changes this time to have for.
And we need to do some research on options for, it's an issue, it's an important issue for the staff, so. We need to
Yes,
consider options for group benefits,
the medical.
there's gotta be a solution.
So,
Need a motion?
are we recommending this now, or are we?
No,
No.
No, we're gonna go
it's just
through
a
it.
first draft, so Melanie will get our numbers and we'll bring it back.
Travel policy update, number 12. Tab 12.
So this one kind of corresponds with the HR, it was done at the same
Yes,
time.
makes sense.
Yeah, well, meal costs have gone up since two thousand nineteen,
They really have.
probably
yeah.
doubled.
And I'm not sure if the lunch one is still sufficient at $20. I know this is what was in there recommended, but even like the other day I went across to the cafe and had just a burger, fries and a drink and it was over $20.
I
I
know.
had a grilled cheese in this town, it was 14.
Right?
So that was just a sandwich.
Just the sandwich, so that one I'm just bringing to your attention, maybe it should be 25
Well, do
if
you want to
you're.
look at that again? I mean, really, while you're looking at stuff, do you want to take a look at that?
But Melanie did the research, so Melanie.
I did, so
Yeah.
breakfast ranges anywhere from 8 to 20. Now, when Sandy and I were at AMA a couple weeks ago, the breakfast was 25.
$5.
Yeah, lunch ranges from 15 to 25. And dinner ranges from 23 to 40, so I put us in the mid-range. That's where anyway, you could make it higher if you wanted to. And so making these changes for two days, that's one person, like, so for a 2-night stay where meals are not included, this would be an additional $36 based on this policy for reimbursement. And Sandy's right, lunch, you can't get lunch for $20, not in this town anyway.
Well, so you might want to revise the scale, look at it again and just revise it. Because it can still go to council next
Yeah,
meeting.
I would
Definitely
look at.
25.
Yeah,
You can't
Look
give
at
us a
it,
dignity.
yeah, do something reasonable,
Can't even go
yeah.
through the drive-through
Yeah.
now. Everything's.
It's $20 to get a drive-through meal. Okay, so we're gonna just
Yeah.
review and bring that one back.
Or can you just recommend it to council with the addition of the lunch being 25?
Well, can I
If
make
you're-
a suggestion? Sorry, why don't we just do a range? Instead of doing an exact amount?
Well,
Because
because-
the staff are gonna submit receipts.
No, we do
Yeah.
not, we do not, this is per diem,
Yeah,
Right, so even if you don't have lunch, you can still claim it.
Yes.
that's
when you're
right.
on the road.
And
Okay.
so we still get to claim HST on it, whatever it is, whatever the
Okay.
per diem is, we get to claim HST.
So,
Okay.
okay, you wanna,
I'm happy to switch it to 25 for lunch
and
and,
then
and,
dinner, 45 for dinner? You're not gonna do 25 for lunch and 30 for dinner.
well, at least 40 for dinner, do you think? Is that too
Yeah.
crazy?
That would be the high range of the,
Yeah, it would be like, cause obviously we wouldn't be paying for alcohol.
according to Melanie.
No, you-
according to
Yeah,
Melanie,
alcohol's not included.
No.
Go downtown.
35.
Go downtown here, get an appetizer and a main.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and a dessert.
Yeah.
I'll bring this back to the town, and you're not, you get that for $30.
Anyway, I think we're looking for a staff recommendation.
Well,
Melanie,
the staff want us to do something here so we can recommend it to council.
That's what I mean, we're looking for a staff recommendation. I think.
No,
So,
so Melanie, you did these ranges that you have
Yes.
in your report. Where did you get this information?
I went on the listserv and I got all of the municipalities, they gave me their ranges, that's where I got it from.
Okay,
We all said it when we were at the conference, we all said, wow, we all need to go back to our offices and increase these, we can't. Breakfast for $25, I mean, that is a lot. But you can't go for breakfast for 15 or 18 anymore either,
well, not once you.
not with a coffee.
But can I just ask a question? If you've gone for the day and it's per diem and you only had breakfast and dinner, you'd still claim lunch anyway, because you're on the road. Right? So you're still claiming 3 meals a day, and a lot of people don't have full 3 meals. Like, I'm just
You
saying
can't-
that.
So the travel policy is very clear. If your meals are covered in the conference, you cannot claim them.
Yeah.
And you have to leave by 7 in the morning and be home at 7 at night or after 7 at night to be able to claim a dinner.
Right.
Right, so a
Okay.
maximum daily allowance of $68, which is the current proposal in Schedule A.
Yes,
So you could potentially just claim the full $68 and that covers any meals that you've
Not
had during the day, whether it's breakfast and lunch or breakfast and dinner.
provided you're away overnight and
Right,
you had to provide all your meals. Now, most conferences do provide a lot of the meals.
okay. Well, I,
Yeah. and you guys-
$68.
There's one thing of saying claiming $68 a day, and there's one thing to actually have to pay for those meals. So I get what you're saying, like you wouldn't do breakfast and you would just say, okay, I'm having a lunch and I'm claiming $68, so I'm claiming breakfast.
Yeah.
But if you actually have to eat breakfast, a lunch and a dinner. These are too low. So if we went with 18, 25, 35. At least that's a little more reasonable on price point.
Yeah.
That would be my opinion, and we can put that in there and we'll recommend that to council and.
I mean, cause technically you could spend 68 at one meal.
The high range is $85 combined for the three.
Yeah,
We're now at 68.
Yeah, another
So-
10, you're at 78.
Which includes taxes and gratuities.
Yeah, your gratuities are on your, own. You have to pay for that yourself, and if you want alcohol, you have to pay for that yourself.
I'm okay with increasing them, but I don't want to go over what was found, the rates that were found in Melanie's research.
So make a motion.
yeah.
Recommendation to manifest.
Well, we would want to adjust this and then we'd make the motion, correct?
Yeah,
To
just,
approve the policy.
So for
So-
example, you could go to 20 for breakfast if you wanted. For lunch, you could go to, pick a number,
25,
25. And for dinner, you could go to
35.
35.
45.
There you go.
In the
It's a
end
pub,
range
yeah.
of all three meals, it's $85 in total.
Yes.
That's the end range. The
Let's
highest
do 18, 25, and 35. That seems reasonable to me. It's in
That's
line
68.
with other municipalities.
78.
78.
We're at
It's-
68
Whoops.
now.
But it was already at 60.
Yes, it would be an extra $10, so it would
Yeah.
be $78.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
the max would be
78,
85.
yeah,
if we were-
78.
78 is good.
Okay,
Seconder,
I'll second that.
for the discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Recommendation is passed. Okay, so that's travel, not-for-profit properties.
That's just your motion on the sheet. Melanie has this on the agenda every,
I usually have it in April, but I didn't get it till, or I mean in May, I didn't get it till,
I think our chair should read this motion out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't read it, I'm on, if that's number one, you guys got
That's
it,
right.
the mayor can.
Recommend the council approve the tax rebate reduction for the following not-for-profit properties for the 2024 year. Roll 004799993 in the amount of $2,311.50. Roll 02355 256 in the amount of $3,463.50. Roll 000922428 in the amount of $768. Roll 02045 486 in the amount of $187.50. Roll 02045 494 in the amount of $2,131.50. Roll 03611 957 in the amount of $1,494. Roll 1033204 in the amount of $1,093.50. And roll 06445 721 in the amount of $1,950.
I'll second.
I do have, one concern on this, question. There has been an existing organization that's been in this grouping for a long time that it's now more of an operating business. And I'm just wondering if it's something that we should be looking at going forward.
I have no idea who these people are.
No.
I believe we'd have to amend our policy.
And that probably needs to be
Well,
dealt
I think
with
it's
in camera.
yes,
Yeah,
and that's
it's
kind of
in
where. Yeah. I guess it would be if that roll number should be part of this, is what I guess.
So I guess maybe we defer this till after the in-camera session, perhaps.
Yeah, so we can talk.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm fine with that.
yeah.
Does that mean anybody has to read it again?
Reading,
No, we'll just
Done.
table it.
It's done, it's red,
it's red.
it's red.
We'll just hold off on it.
Well done, by the way, that was
on the-
perfect.
That was
We'll
Sandy.
love it. Okay, so moving back up, we are now low income tax exemptions.
Had one applicant, and they met all the criteria.
Okay,
I recommend to council to approve the low income tax exemption for roll number 107906662, provided the account is in good standing.
I'll second it.
question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion has passed. And now we are. NSFM benefit plan.
And that's a request for decision. We were going through our human resource policy, and I went on the listserv, and not all municipalities offer their elected officials benefits. Some offer pensions. So in a way to try to save costs, we thought maybe in the new election in November, you might want to consider not offering that to your elected officials, or keep it as it is. That's all. We're just trying to turn over all the pages.
Mm.
There was a time when I started here, we didn't offer any benefits to any elected officials. We started probably, I'm gonna say 12 years ago, we started doing this.
Shall I read the motion?
Sure.
To recommend to council to remove the option for council members to join the benefits plan as of November 2024.
And I'll second it for discussion.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh.
I have concerns about this, it's, for me, and maybe it's a bit of a conflict, but it's kind of a little tiny perk, we don't get paid overly well.
I know.
In fact, minimal, it's
I
it's a
agree.
lot of volunteer hours as well as service hours, and I think it's a nice thing to offer to a counselor that's coming on, and they don't have to accept it, obviously, they, a lot don't.
During the election time 4 years ago, we were all acclaimed because there wasn't enough people that stepped forward with the position of councillor. And I just think that moving forward, I hope that more people step forward in October, put their name forward for it. And I just think this is a little bonus
Yeah.
that might encourage people to come forward if they know there's a benefit plan.
Well, I'd like to know how much this is gonna cost.
Well, it depends
And
on
we
how
don't- we
many,
don't- We don't know that yet, because we haven't approved the policy change, which could potentially change the contribution rate from 50/50 to 75/25.
That's
So
right.
What is the dollar figure for the
Well,
town?
you could have a council of 4 that all want to join it, or you have a council of 4 that none would join it, right?
We have no idea.
But you could tie it to getting the information on costs of the benefit
Yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
Put it in with that and
You
discuss it later.
could, but I think it should all be the same, it should be for employees and council.
Mhm.
I don't think it needs to be separated, I think we're separated enough.
Yep.
In our roles that I would like to see that not even become an issue. If it's 1 or 2, or, doesn't matter to me, yeah.
I don't know, I think there's a big difference between someone who works 35, 40 hours a week and what we do. I know what we do is important, but it is different, and that means we don't share in the same sort of benefits as employees, in my opinion.
I've known in the past that there's been a number of counselors that. Made use of that word. Um, Especially as you get older and you can access other programs, it's kind of, it is an option, and we are in a community where that could entice somebody to run.
Yeah.
Or.
Mm.
You know, as an extra benefit. I'm for keeping it, but we can wait till we get some number crunches on it and
So we're not gonna vote on this motion that's on the table?
we can, motion's been there and seconded.
I would like to defer it. I think it's important that we know how much for the dollar figure on this. Even if it's a theoretical dollar figure.
Do you have any figures, Melanie?
No, it's tied to that 75-25 thing,
Okay,
the plan. We can defer it,
So we'll table
table it. Okay, seasonal business reduction.
Okay, I recommend that council approve the provincially mandated seasonal business reduction for 2024. For the following properties, roll number 92274, an amount of $3,524.80. Roll number 1408402, and an amount of $1,082.40. Roll number 2466988, an amount of $4,205.60. Roll number 3144577, an amount of $2,460. Roll number 4542975, an amount of $4,336. And roll number 4032829 in the amount of $1,276.80, providing all taxes are in good standing. That's important.
I'll second that.
Discussion, any discussion on this?
well, it's provincially mandated.
Yes, and there's really not much you can do.
No.
You know, what'd be interesting to know is how much is this costing municipal units in this province? Cause we are small, and that's a
It's a
chunk.
lot of,
Can you
it's a
imagine
lot.
some of the other ones? Anyways, somebody in
Well, for
the
us, it's big.
should be looking, it up.
Well,
Question on the
that
motion?
we've asked to be expanded to businesses that are open all seasons. We just did that
Yeah.
with the county of Middleton. We just said, we need another incentive.
Yeah, stay open and
Yes,
Oh,
but we didn't say rescind this one. We said, in addition to this, we need incentives to keep business open.
Yeah, that's true.
Just saying,
Yeah.
well, that would be one way of doing it, rescinding this.
nope, that would create another whole issue.
Yeah.
I don't wanna fight that battle. I don't even want it to happen.
So I don't wanna think about it.
No way.
question on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Recommendation is passed.
I think that's the end of yours, right, Melanie?
Point October.
Pension
Uh,
bylaw.
I just wanted to say, like, I'm just looking at the file for the not-for-profit properties that you're gonna be speaking in camera. And on our website and our bylaw, it lays out how you can apply and who specifically, and it also, you have to have a benefit to the town, open for public use. You have to be a not-for-profit organization, and when they apply, they have all their ducks in a row. They have to have at least 30% of funds from non-government sources, and they have to prove financial needs. So anyway, just wanted to put that there. And I think I have one final motion. We've had election training and now we need this, they told us we should get this done right away.
Melanie, can I just ask you a quick question then about
Yeah.
that? So they
Yeah.
bring that forward every year?
Yeah, every year they have to apply for it.
Have to bring that, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. I don't know, the one off and just. For life. Okay.
Should I make the motion on the footnote? I recommend to council to appoint Melanie Robinson as the returning officer in the October 2024 municipal elections.
I'll second.
Question on the motion, all those in favor?
Thank you, Melanie.
And then I recommend to council to appoint Donna Neath as the Assistant Returning Officer and Melanie Stubbs as the Special Elections Officer Auditor in the October 2024 municipal election.
Second.
Question on the motion, all those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, Donna and Melanie.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get ourselves sworn in as soon as possible.
Okay.
All right, that's everything from now? Yeah. Thank you, Melanie.
Perfect.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so
Where are we gonna go?
well, it's up to you guys. You wanna finish the last few minutes or do you wanna go back up to the unfinished?
Do we wanna just carry on this? Oh,
What do you
okay.
get?
I don't know where we are.
We are on the appoint new members to
Pension
the
bonding.
No.
pension bylaw
The pension bylaw.
bylaw.
at 14.
First reading.
Yeah.
Housekeeping.
Housekeeping, this has been, the pension was changed from 5% to 6% in 2019, but nobody updated the bylaw.
Right, okay.
Okay,
So very simple, nothing's changing except the amount.
from 5 to 6.
Well, no, I didn't put in a number in case it ever changed again. The bylaw would not have to be updated. We put the
Right.
motion
Yes, as said.
as set by percentage.
Yeah, I've seen that.
By way of council resolution. Just to make it clean and easy for
Good idea.
whoever's after me.
Recommendation, somebody,
I will move to recommend council to approve first reading of the pension bylaw number 82 dated June 2024.
seconder?
Yeah, Go ahead. No,
You're
go-
good.
no.
Paula,
okay.
beat me.
Question on the motion, all those in favor? Now we're gonna appoint new members to the accessibility advisory committee.
I will move the council approve the appointment of Brenda McDonald to the Accessibility Advisory Committee, AAC, for the term ending December 31, 2024.
I'll second.
Yay.
That's excellent.
She's
She's
back.
been on
She's
it.
back.
Yeah, she is.
Yes,
She's
she's
working
back.
at the
Wonderful.
habitation.
She is,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, I was just wondering if she was back.
Yeah.
Question on the motion, all those in favor? Motion has passed.
And we still need one more member, just if anybody
Oh,
was
okay.
anybody
I
that's
did
interested.
approach one person, I will reapproach her.
Great.
We have an absent request for council meeting
Oh.
by Councilor Hackett.
Then
Denied.
No reason, just,
take us with you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
This is for the next month.
Yeah, so it's for council, the next council meeting, and then committee of the whole after that. It's 2 meetings.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Permission
Uh,
granted.
Yes, yeah, you're good.
Thank you.
now it's on to the provincial grant.
What about this flag flying request? I can read this, that council.
I
approved-
see it, but it's not on the new
Oh,
business.
see, I'm reading.
It's on the, it's on the turnover.
It's not on our
It's not on
agenda.
an agenda.
Flying flag request.
Where?
It's at the very bottom, top of.
Oh,
the
down below this. Okay, I had this in on 15.
Okay, I will go ahead and move that council approve the request to fly the Royal flag on June 18th, 2024 in honor of Duga Day.
I'll second that.
And that'll be the flag, our second
Second
flag
flag, yeah.
where we have our Annapolis one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. I'm in favor of this, but we have a flag flying policy.
Mhm.
Do we need to update that to include this? Is this so we don't
Miss it.
every year?
It's an annual event. The
Mm.
town created it. Good point. Like
Yeah.
the town did stay.
So which pole is it going on? The one in front here?
No.
No, it's one down below.
Yeah.
One by the L.
Like, I don't want to create work for staff, but it might be something we could maybe look at.
Do we
down
want
the
to
road.
amend this motion to say on an annual
Include it.
basis?
No, I would have to change the policy. So, yeah, we'll just deal with this motion and we'll bring back the policy next
Okay.
month.
Okay,
Well, only when you've got the time.
Well, I need to
add
get
to it.
things
It's just
done.
that it's a
Well,
town day.
That's what
you
I'm
know, that's
thinking.
Yeah.
The issue, it's a town
Exactly.
day.
and then it doesn't have to come to us.
No,
Yeah.
because on the 14th, it'll be flown for Bastille Day.
Yeah.
Because it's in the policy. So this one just wasn't in the policy, so
Oh.
it couldn't be just
Yeah.
done.
So
Yeah.
would we not just leave it up for the few days and then,
Nope, goes up the day and comes down the day.
okay, just trying to see.
Question on the motion. All those in favor?
I,
Now. The original capital assistance program. Correct.
Yes, so the provincial grants are all due next week, June
13.
13th. Yes, and so we, for two of the provincial capital assistance program grants, one, we were looking to apply for the second water source, to drill the wells. We got the report 2 years ago now, and so just wanted to see if council wanted to reapply for that application again. We were told last year that if we got a PCAP grant the year before, you wouldn't probably get one last year, so that's probably why we didn't get it. So just looking to see if you were looking to apply for that again this year. And the second grant was for the issues we've been having at the home hardware lift stations, because there's a lot of water flow coming from Lower St. George Street, the farmers market area. If we wanted to fill out a grant to get an engineering design feasibility study on running a new line from the farmers market parking lot sewer line and attach it in on Prince Albert Road where we did the new home hardware line. And then that would take that water out of the lift station, because it's just rainwater, it's not sewer water. And then that would take that flow out of the lift station at home hardware and reduce that flow. So just wondering if council would like to do staff into a grant to apply for that. And then we'll see if we get either one or take it from there and take it from there.
Those seems to be your priority, so.
Yeah, so to apply for the application, we have to have a resolution from council to do so.
And then there's one that needs to be fixed. Anybody wanna
Okay.
read that?
read it and then
Go
a
ahead.
question on the first one. No, go ahead.
Okay, that council approved the application to the Provincial Capital Assistance Program for funding the second phase of the municipal water source.
I'll second it.
Oh, Emery.
Oh, you.
No,
Emery was first.
you were
Emery was first.
I heard it.
Okay, so the second phase of the municipal water source, that's the second source of water that we're looking at.
Drilling
Drilling,
wells
okay,
on this side of the river
Yeah.
in case there's ever a water shortage from the Granville side.
okay. So historically, there's only ever been one issue with it happened 4 years ago and it cost us a lot of money, but it's never happened before, and that's all now fixed, and hopefully it shouldn't happen again. I know.
No.
No, the water tank was
The
fixed.
Boyd Park request is unresolved. That was $160,000.
Right, yeah,
And we still don't have the information on how and why it happened, or the inspection reports.
right.
So it's not really resolved.
Okay,
So, and Holly and I, were on a little tour of the water facilities in the area, so we were over at the Granville water tank today. And they did say that that tank needs to be repaired inside, it needs to be painted, so they have to drain it. Correct me if I'm wrong, it will take a month, they will have to drain it and take a month to do the repairs in that water tank. So I'm not sure where the water supply is going to come from when they do that. They're also talking about that area doesn't have a backup source.
Yeah.
So if anything happens to that tank under the URB, every water source has to have a second backup plan, and that one in Granville Ferry does not. But they are looking at building a new, was it a new tank or a new lagoon or something over there? I think it was a second tank. But that's,
There's only one
But they,
tank
but they have,
Yeah.
you know, what was interesting is how many they do have to take care of and this and that, and, you know, we don't know when a priority of, we don't have no idea, they never mentioned when Granville Ferry would ever have that done.
Yeah.
We, no, not sure,
okay,
so there is, you
so
know.
there's new information then.
yeah, and that was just yesterday and today we went on this little tour.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's concerning.
and well,
The other thing is the line going across the causeway.
any, you know.
Any collapse of that would shut off water for town.
Yeah, my thought all along has been, why not try and find money, a funding source of money to shore up that line? instead of trying to create a second source of water, use the existing source of
Should
water we
always
had,
have
which
a
is great
second.
quality, and just shore up the line that brings it across the causeway
Yeah.
to the town.
Yeah.
However,
That's
with
an
what
option
you've
too.
just said.
I really think a second source is important, just safety.
There was plans in the past to run a second water line along the bottom of the basin.
Water bed, yeah.
And bring it up the other side and not
Yeah.
running along that. I don't know whatever happened to that, but there's multiple potential losses. If that
Yeah,
tank collapses or the wells collapse, then.
Or the
That's
line.
that's a different issue than the
Yeah.
line collapse.
Several things, yeah.
And the third is we're waiting for the condition of the causeway.
right.
Yes.
And the province was supposed to get back to it
Yeah.
in May, and then he's now
I
adjourned.
know, it's a multi-level.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I think we'll wait a while
And it's
more,
a
but
bit of a
another
shock.
letter has to go to the province and
Yeah.
say, you know.
you know,
But if we can get a grant. I
we
think
can
it's
get
well
it.
Oh, yeah. Yes, okay, that makes
But
sense.
it's only 50% though, let's be
Yeah.
clear, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
So this grant is only gonna cover 50%.
well, this is
of
to
drilling.
apply, and we can
Yeah.
always withdraw it too.
Right, yeah, that makes
If
sense.
it conflicts with other parties of council.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, at least make the application and see what goes.
See what
We had a
happens.
debt on the existing water, so next year, right? So let's go further. Question on the motion, all those in favor? And we have a second one.
The council approved the application of provincial capital assistance program for funding the engineering design and feasibility study for the additional sewer line from the farmers market parking lot to join the new line on the Prince Albert Road connection.
I'll second that.
So your thoughts on that is what, to run it up the old rail bed?
No, we don't even have to go that far, we just have to go through the farmer's market parking lot. Cause it would be cheaper than to go through the road and then cut across, under. That street there.
St.
St. Albert. It
Albert.
is, and then, go across the walking track that's there. And then right on that side of the road is where the new line came down Prince Albert and crisscrosses, so we wouldn't have to cross. We wouldn't have to drill under the highway again, cause we would just tap into there.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Question on the motion, all those in favor? Aye. One back up,
Fire
fire area rate policy.
So this was just the first pass, the draft of a policy to bring forward for consideration.
might take me a minute.
So I thought under definitions, we should have some specifically department applicant town. Applicant is defined in 4, but I think we should have a section
Just the
definitions.
definitions, yeah.
So if you own a property in town that basically classes resource. Are you still getting billed for the fire charge, right?
Under this, yes,
So.
there's the option, so you can do it as
is there-
either way you want, but most people that I have talked to, they charge everybody the same. You can do it,
Well, there's a lot of lots all along the river
Mhm.
that are basically just resource.
Yeah.
Properties.
but it's a percentage of, right? So you can do it as the percentage of, or you can do like a dollar figure for each unit.
I just thought it was interesting, so I was double checking how that worked. Other,
Yeah, just the timing of the submission, it says March the 1st, because that's our budget processing time, but should it not be February the 1st, and then it gets it in, and then Melanie can work with the numbers and the application ahead of time? It just might just give her a little bit more time,
Yeah, we can change the date,
So
that's
just-
no problem, but
because March
it's,
1st seems a little late, is it?
it's them that brings the rate in their budget, right?
Right, yeah,
So it's not us,
no, but we have to
so they
still
bring it and
look at
then
it.
you look at it and approve it, so, and
Yeah.
it's not in the
who brings her in?
actual,
The
the
department,
department.
fire department.
The department brings their expenses in the rate that they're suggesting, but council has the final decision.
So we can accept it
Or
or increase
not.
it or lower it.
Yep.
What's the fiscal year? Is it January to December?
No, April to March.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
You mean theirs?
Yeah, the department.
Oh, theirs, yeah, this is what ours is, it goes by ours, not theirs.
Right. And we'll present this to them once we.
And there's just.
Well, this is how it goes, like,
Okay.
this is how it goes for all municipalities that have a fire rate,
Okay,
the process, and yeah, well, I'll definitely go over it with them.
okay.
I do have them coming to
Aren't they
the
gonna do
June 19th council
council? Oh,
to give
good.
a presentation on their truck vehicle request.
Mhm.
Okay,
Nice.
No, it's not.
clause 4.9 is a typo.
Okay.
Down. Stands
Down.
Capital T.
Any other questions or no?
No, it's good.
Are you interested in moving forward with it then?
Yeah.
Take the plunge.
So I need a motion.
There was an emotion,
There isn't.
not a
I would
paragraph.
move
motion.
that we move ahead with the higher rate as outlined by staff with the addition of definitions.
I will second that.
So are we moving ahead of this as of March 1st, 2025, right?
Yes. Cause we've done our budget already this year.
Okay, so just the dates are through. Yeah. Yep.
And I'll change that one to.
Yeah.
Further discussion?
Mm-mm.
Question on the motion, all those in favor?
Aye.
And now we are on to committee of the whole
And this is,
council meeting discussion.
Amory had asked this to be on, I think, a couple meetings ago, and it just kind of,
It fell apart when we said we had to have a discussion.
so, no, yeah.
I'll just run through the list of suggested measures that I thought we'd agreed on. One was everybody reading the package, asking questions earlier rather than later, certainly no later than a Monday. Just because staff need the time. Written reports, because that's something that we have talked about. We're using unanimous consent, that cuts down, that's great. Avoiding unnecessary tabling, so that means, like avoiding discussion where we need certain facts are not there, there's no point in going around and around and around. So those are the simple points, and I'm just throwing it out for discussion, but I think that summarizes where some of the points. We don't have that many meetings to go through, but we'd like them to finish it.
Comments? Suggestions?
Sometimes it's fine to say we should ask questions prior to the meeting, but oftentimes the questions still really arise until we're here.
And that's understandable, totally agree, yeah,
Could be something another counselor brings up and you're
Yeah,
like,
it triggers a question,
absolutely.
a secondary question.
And I do like having the conversations here in person instead of potentially, I guess, the way it was envisioned was if I had a question for Melanie, for example, on something she was presenting, I would ask a question by email days before, which wouldn't be too many days before, because usually we don't get our packages until Friday. And then everyone would be part of that
Right,
online.
Yeah.
But you can also ask the question in advance and still bring the question up at the meeting so that staff have time to do the research, because if you would have, for example, if you would have brought it up in the HR policy that you wanted to know what the numbers were for the 75%, Melanie could have had done the research and had that information ready for tonight.
and I
Just
was
as an
guilty
example,
there,
but-
because that was one of my questions that I could have and should have asked before.
Right, but just as an example,
Yeah.
right? And
That's a good
then,
example.
but then you can still have the conversation when we're all here together, but it just kind of gives staff sometimes, some time to, because sometimes like I need to go to different staff and ask questions because I don't know everything at the top of my head, right? So,
But I don't think anybody at this table minds the question comes up,
waiting for the
waiting
answer.
for the answer.
Right, but then that puts, cause we only meet
Relays the
twice.
schedule.
We meet only twice a month, and then it's hard to get some things rolling. Right, like,
Yeah, the difficulty is it overloads the next agenda.
But.
That's what
the
happens.
Benefit of this meeting is when a question comes up. Then we have 2 weeks before our council meeting. So anything that needs to be looked up or can be brought back up at council, and we can make the decision properly at council.
yeah, and we mentioned that tonight on a couple items as well, that we would, go ahead with the changes, but you still have the option, is you're not tied to your decisions tonight, right?
Right.
So you still have the option to look at it in a clear document and still, vote no or yes, or move forward with it, right?
The mayor mentioned something about the report being written, but those are for council, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Council members, how we can make it faster?
Yeah, but we
If I
don't.
sat here and read out my report, we'd be here. for a
Yeah,
while,
no,
right?
but our reports aren't for committee of the whole, they're for council. The round table is just, we did the water.
But I do that one optionally, I realize. that
Okay,
Because simply
okay.
to save time,
Okay, okay.
that's all. But it's just, again, these are
See,
suggestions, we're
yeah.
self-regulating, it's whatever we decide.
Yeah, yeah,
We could cancel the round table.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
And I've
we've talked about
talked
that.
about that before, that.
Yeah.
'cause
Cause I think
We-
it's kinda,
We often repeat what we're
Yes.
saying because a couple of us have been to the same thing and I don't know.
So yes, so
So
that's definitely something.
The
you could bring up.
round table was brought in when I was mayor. And what was happening was councilors were getting hit with questions, or they were seeing something in the community. And it was like, okay, they could bring it up at council, right? So it was like, okay, let's just have a round table and it was supposed to be not what did. All do last month. It was like, have you had anybody come and talk to you about an issue that you wanna bring forward that we can bring up? And
okay.
staff could take it, if it needed to be researched, staff could take it or something like that. It's kind of morphed into, this is what I did. This is what,
Yeah, yeah.
But I think more efficiently, if any counselor had someone come up to them and ask them a question. You shouldn't wait until the next council meeting or committee of the whole, you should just email staff,
Yeah.
and then I could, get your response faster.
And there was questions that were kind of, you would direct to staff, and then there was just some general questions that somebody might have come up and asked one of us about, I don't know.
How beautiful the town is with all the
Unsightly building,
building.
or there was always, yeah,
Well,
always something nice.
but that happened to me and I had a few people come to me and give their opinion about the opposite to how beautiful the town looks. And I did make that comment during my roundtable and it didn't go very well for me the next day. Because I had a few members of staff contact me directly saying this, I shouldn't have said that. And I was like, well, what am I allowed to say at the roundtable?
Yeah.
So,
Well, if you
anyway.
wanna make roundtable comments,
So-
we can submit a paragraph or whatever. Cause
No, that's
I
fine.
submit mine every month,
I submit
there's
that-
never any
that's all.
questions,
I think we just,
so.
I think we just walk away from the round table.
I do too. I
Yeah,
agree with
I suggested it a
We
while.
will remove that tonight.
Betty's suggestion that if we have anything brought up, go directly to staff.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer, if there's anything.
Well, the other thing as well, our CAO and our mayor do really great reports at council and they're very detailed. And sometimes if I have a question on that, I can just say, oh, can you also talk a little bit about paving, painting the street, the markings, right? So, and that's a great time for you to give us an update.
Yeah.
And
That works well. as well.
right, it works really well. So,
Okay, so I'll take off the round table off the next committee. of the whole.
No, wait a minute.
Okay.
This is running lovely, and we're gonna be here a while yet,
So
so.
there you go, success right there.
Shave down.
Yeah.
Minutes. All right, public meeting follow-up survey, tab 6.
And I'm just gonna preface this as this is draft. I was trying to figure out what kind of questions from the last meeting. If we wanna put it in the news, the water bills that go out at the end of the month. This was just a starting point, looking for more direction from council on where to go. Just the little introduction there, and then the questions were just.
I really liked it, because it was simple.
Simple is good for
And
sure.
as a trial balloon, like you'll send it out, you never know what you're gonna get back. But we could actually try it out ahead of time on a few people, see how it goes. But anyway, I liked it as a trial effort.
Number 5, are the prices gonna win there or
Yeah.
they to guess?
Well, I just didn't know if you like.
Oh, competition.
Yeah.
Who comes closer?
Yeah,
So I liked 1. And 2, I didn't see a point of having Tai Chi or meeting with friends and relaxing.
well, I got the Tai Chi people.
We have
appreciate the work.
socializing too.
We have
so it's
socially
redundant.
and other explain.
I would put recreation instead of Tai Chi because some
Okay.
people use the wharf and they
Well,
swim.
it's socially, you know, socially is recreation, Tai Chi, dance, whatever you wanna name it, there's.
You could do recreation / social. Socially.
Heather. Number 5, prices would be good, but I also thought maybe some pros and cons, so. New wharf, $5 million. You know, there's pros and cons, we're gonna have a wharf for 15 years, have to rebuild it then. Cons gonna go to 5, you know, like something on that direction. I also thought that it might be nice to have a 6 where. You know.
Additional comments.
Do you want something else? Do you want us to look, you know, a council to look at a marina? Or do you want us to look at a berm that people could socialize on and do recreation on? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of comments I heard is people like just going out on the water. Well, you go out on the water, it's only a 12-foot berm instead of a 40-foot wharf, right? So.
So so,
Things
because
work.
last time it was just a bit of wharf, so that's why I
Yeah,
left that part out, but I can add that definitely.
Well, or you can leave, or give a suggestion on that one, right?
and in number 5, we've got like new war, revitalize, demolish. What about sell?
Yeah.
We should have that as an option.
Sell or transfer ownership, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's how we ended up with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because our last grant application that went in was an offer to Bear River to co-manage it.
Yeah, so you know, I mean,
And I think,
and I think that there will really be like,
Well,
they'll let us know.
Naval Yards in the South Shore.
I think we have to offer it back to the Annapolis Wharf Society
Well,
before we
Okay.
can offer it to anybody else, I
Sure.
think, from the transfer.
okay, well,
They
that,
want it.
Well,
well,
I just, you know,
yeah,
Well,
fair
that
enough.
was an option, why we should check that one off and then have it so that it's, you know, we're
Already
looking,
done?
that we're looking for, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually smart, yeah.
It's going out in the water bills, but condominium owners don't get water bills.
oh, good
Okay,
point.
So
yeah,
that's a large proportion of our residents.
Yes, we can drop them off.
Very
to them.
important.
yeah.
But yeah, you could drop them off at the office and
Yeah.
instead of hand delivering to 40 units.
We don't have an office.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what,
No,
maybe a
that's okay.
student
A
could
common
do that,
Yeah.
could take them up if we get lucky to have a student this
We
year.
have 2 students right now,
We have,
at the end of the month.
yeah, the royal ones, yeah.
What do you mean, go door to door and put the slips of
To
paper?
the
under the condo?
condos, yeah.
Do they have mail slots there, but you can just put them in?
No,
There's nothing.
No.
and you can't even
communication.
slide a piece of paper under the door because there's kind of weather stripping.
So
Keep the
let's go back
rat-
to 5 for a minute, if we're gonna put pricing in. Do we put how that affects? Like that was a pretty eye-opening thing when we were at that public meeting, and they said, yeah, if you do this and this, it's $900 every year on every person's taxes in this town. For the next
Oh.
20 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think it's a wise thing because
No.
they also said that you would qualify, we're hitting 80% threshold on climate change and other grants. So it's not the 60%, it's higher. So the point is like,
But the wharf is it though?
yes, it is, the wharf rehab option. We applied for 100% funding through the Economic Development Fund. It allowed us to apply for 100% funding. So, which is unusual, highly unusual, but it's money left over, obviously, from year end. That's what they do when nobody uses it up. Cause you only had 2 weeks to apply. The window was 2 weeks, which is ridiculous for that amount of money. 2.7 million, we had 2 weeks to apply. We couldn't have applied if we didn't have the budget to back it
Right.
up. You had to be ready with something for that application. So the reality is, would we refuse $2.7 million or would we do it? Well, you're right, the public has to weigh in on if you
And
want
did you
this
have
or
to
not.
submit the engineer study as well with the application?
Oh, yeah, everything
Right.
went in,
Yeah.
yeah.
And see, we had that.
I know, we,
Right?
We just happened to have it. We were just
Yeah.
lucky that
Yeah.
day, right?
So the dollar numbers can change,
Yes.
but, you know, unless we get 100% funding, it's going to, chances are this is going to cost us a considerable amount of money, and it's going to mean that there's less money to spend on other things, unless people are okay with the idea of a area rate for infrastructure. A very significant one. So I think having the dollar numbers are important, and to give people an idea that there's going to have to be choices made. It's not just a question of building a wharf. We have lots of other stuff that people are also want. As for the questions, you know, the second question, the third question, it's like, yeah, that's interesting, but is it going to influence a council's decision? You know, if we, the second and the third.
Yeah.
You know, if we know that 10 people do Taekwondo or Tai Chi on the wharf, does that mean we want to spend $5 million? If people socialize on the wharf, does that mean we want to spend $5 million? And what if, yes, people do these various things, but then they all say, we don't want to spend money on a new wharf.
But it's not a binding survey. All you're looking for, I agree with adding numbers, but I would be interested in all these questions. I agree with tightening it up, but this is not, you're not gonna make a decision. No council's gonna make a decision on this. But it
But
does
it gives
give you
us
an
the
idea.
direction, yeah,
it's
it's
exactly-
really, I think it's a really great idea. And yeah, maybe just take out a few of number 2 to socialize.
But you're right, when we did the
Exercise.
strategic planning stuff, we
Recreation.
tabulated everything. But
Yeah,
there were a lot of
Right.
things that they didn't know that we knew, right?
yeah,
So we had to put context to it. People wanted a lot of stuff. But when it came down to it, there was only so much we could do. But
yeah,
it was good to know what people thought. You
Yeah.
guys tabulated that on your own.
That's right.
it was a lot of work.
It was interesting, the information that came back.
yeah.
We couldn't use it all because a lot of it wasn't relevant.
That's right.
No, I think it's. Good. I like the question.
Yeah, I do too, yeah. Vote more.
But
So we'll
good to
take
add
number
more
2.
stuff in.
Yeah, and we'll add sell and transfer of ownership under number 5.
Yes.
We'll add in the prices. And number 5.
We can always, instead of doing what I was just on 60, you might just want to put number 4. Do you have any other suggestions for uses of that space?
Yeah, because they
Doesn't
have
have to be war, but I mean.
maximum of 100 words.
Yeah.
Use
Yeah.
them wisely, folks.
Yes. Use of space, yeah.
And that would allow them to give suggestions to it.
I mean, like create a building lot, like in front of where the wharf, if you want to the wharf.
Well, it's an idea. I mean, it could be, that would be huge benefit for the town to have that. An infield lot there that you could build on.
Yeah,
You only make money by property.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Interesting.
never thought.
No, I didn't put her picture in it. Oh, okay. Well, I can't wait for these to come back. Can't wait to get them out there and.
Okay,
I'll weigh in.
that is correspondence.
Oh, my goodness.
yeah, around 20.
I don't think we're gonna go through these. Are we?
I
Everybody
don't think we need to.
The correspondence was the one for,
is the one that you,
was just the reply that we received. Right, so that's for information only.
Yeah.
The Financial Measures Act was for information. The correspondence was from Pride, was to invite you to any events on the day, so everybody
Yeah.
has the date.
Exciting. Lots of work behind the scenes on that.
The last one on the cost sharing for the program, it starts this fiscal year. So Ken and I are applying for the grant, under the allocation that we can on St. George Street only. So the pavers are coming in next week to start the sections, and we're not gonna do St. George Street. Until last, so that we can see if we can get 50% covered on the money that we already have allocated. And then we'll do that one last if we get the grant.
And so that one section from Babineau Heights to Riverview Drive, is that what you're saying, the Upper St. George Street section?
Yeah.
Will be delayed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we wanna see if we can get
Eligible for
cost of 50%.
In this year?
Yeah.
2024?
Yeah, it starts right now, so the application is due on the 21st of June, and we're gonna get it in right away, and
Yeah.
hopefully we can get the response that we get the 50%, and then that will allow us to do more.
Perfect.
It won't do more paving, but we can include the catch basins, which is the issue of why the road needs to be repaired.
Yeah, but those marks across the road where the road is undulating like that is continuing to create property damage.
Yeah.
So it really is important to look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the update on